Today, live from Darlington Raceway in South Carolina, it's the Transouth Financial 500. It is a near-perfect weather day here in South Carolina as we begin another season of Winston Cup coverage here on ESPN. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Darlington. We'll televise the next 5 Winston Cup races as we begin another season of coverage. Now, it's nice to see this partly sunny weather here today because we have been plagued by rain. In fact, there was so much that it washed out Bush Pole qualifying both on Friday and Saturday. They will start today according to the point standings, and that has meant a very interesting lineup. It's benefited some, it has hurt others. More on that. Here's Ned and Benny.
Well, Bob, you're certainly right. It sure helps some people. Dale Earnhardt will start on the pole, but Ned, I'm not sure it helped Earnhardt that much. He had a fast car.
He had an awfully fast car. In fact, in practice on Friday afternoon, he turned a lap faster than the track record, so everybody figures he'd have been on the pole anyway.
But one kid that did help, and I think Ned and I can call him a kid, Jeff Gordon, who's 21 years old. He'll start 5th today. He came here thinking that 21st was the best he could start because of the rule that rookies can't qualify. Well, NASCAR waived that rule. He could have qualified, but whether or not he could have qualified 5th, that's yet to be determined. He will start 5th, and Jeff, let me tell you something. Don't get too pumped to run this place. I know you're high. You could probably go duck hunting with a rake, but believe me, you don't want to be high at this place. I came here in 1984, won the race in Atlanta, sat on the pole here. I didn't make it through turn 2, crashed on the very first lap. So, Jeff, just detune yourself a little bit.
Well, this place will jump out and get you. You know where it might have helped some of those drivers, Benny? It was a disadvantage not being able to qualify and have to start by points. Darrell Waltrip, who won the Southern 500 here last September, is 25th in the points, so he's pitting on the backstretch. Well, sort of ironic that last year when he won the race, Mark Martin absolutely had the fastest car in the track, but he was pitting on the backstretch, so Darrell won the race. Well, Bill Elliott is the defending champion of the Transouth 500. He's 28th in the points, so he's starting back there. A definite disadvantage pitting on the backstretch. And for more on that, let's go there with John Kernan.
Well, Ned, the reason it's such a big disadvantage to pit on the back stretch is because when a caution comes out, the pace car picks the field up in turn 3. They have to then make a complete lap around the racetrack before they'll open pit road. That means the front stretch pits are open first. Those guys can duck in and get their service. Meanwhile, the guys pitting here on the back have to come around at 55 miles an hour. So usually when they're just arriving at their pit stall, the guys on the front have already completed their pit work and they're headed back out onto the racetrack. We'll have to see some very fast stops here this afternoon. We've seen a lot of fast stops this year, and for more on that, here's Jerry Punch.
John, many of us can remember just a few years ago when pit stops took forever. A 2-tire change on the average took around 19 seconds, but a 4-tire change could take an eternity, almost 25 seconds. Well, in 1993, that's totally different. Nowadays, a 4-tire change will take 18 seconds or less, and there are many reasons why. For example, Goodyear has developed a new tubeless inner liner for their tires. The radials may look the same, but they actually weigh 5 pounds less. Multiplied by 4 tires, that's 20 pounds less the crew's having to carry over the wall. And take a look how jacks have changed. In the old days, this steel jack being used weighed 97 pounds. Not only do you have to be Arnold Schwarzenegger to pick it up, look how long it took to lift the car off the ground. 1 pump, 2 pumps. You pump and push 6 times to get the car off the ground to get the tires clear. This year, this little jack here made of aluminum, weighs just 27 pounds, can be pumped once, twice, and the car is up. And there are other differences. A couple of years ago, the average age of the over-the-wall gang was 35. In 1993, the average age just 27. And 8 of the top 12 teams surveyed have in-house free weight and Nautilus fitness centers. So they're in much better shape. All this translates into those 18-second 4-tire stops. And Bob, get this, a couple of teams have told me they might be able to do it in 16.5 seconds today. So we'll watch.
Well, the crews and the drivers are looking for anything that will give them the slightest advantage as we get set to cover for you live the 36th annual Transouth Financial 500 from Darlington. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Smooth Busch Beer and Easy Drinking Busch Light. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR. By Autolite Spark Plugs, guaranteed for 2 years, no matter how far you go. And by Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline. 39 cars and drivers have already started their engines and are about to pull away. We'll have the starting lineup for you in just a moment. Some of the sights and sounds around Darlington Raceway include this beautiful place, South Carolina Country Club. This week, the state tennis and golf championships are being held there. And boy, there are a lot of race fans in this area. However, this guy was out on Friday playing golf in the rain. As we said, the weather has improved greatly, and it's a partly sunny day here in South Carolina, and the temperature is in the upper 60s. And our overhead shots are being provided by the Family Channel blimp, piloted by Chief Pilot Alan Burrows. Darlington Raceway, as we take a look at the Busch course description, 1.3 miles in length, and you guys know better than I, it is a tough racetrack.
You can see how it's egg-shaped. This is turns 1 and 2, banked 25 degrees, a much shorter corner than 3 and 4. Going down the back straightaway, which is 1,228 feet long.
And then you go into turn 3, a wide sweeping turn. One of the toughest turns in all of auto racing, banked 23 degrees. It's impossible to set a race car up on this track where you get around both turns good. And then you come off of turn 4 on the front stretch. The length of it is 1,228 feet.
And that describes for you the lady in black, the track too tough to tame, Darlington Raceway. Here's a look now at the starting lineup for line up. The cars are still on the racetrack, and we'll go at least one more before getting green.
And you see Derek Cope in the 12th row. He will be the last car pitting on the front straightaway. All these other cars will be pitting on the back.
See Bobby Hill and Dick Trickle back there. Bob Shack, relatively new to Winston Cup racing.
There are the 39 cars. Norm Benning occupies the lone spot in row number 20. Our in-car cameras today being carried by Rusty Wallace. He's lined up right behind the pole sitter, Dale Earnhardt. And ahead of him on the right is Jeff Bodine. He's coming out of turn number 2, going down the backstretch. We also have an in-car camera in Brett Bodine's Quaker State Ford, as he has Terry Labonte right in front of him and Ken Schrader. Morgan Shepherd also will carry an in-car camera. He's signaling to the driver behind him that the course is ready for competition, and we will be going green here in just a moment as the cars are now approaching turn number 4.
Now, Bob, there's one car that had to go to the back of the field that was not scheduled to be back there because he's high in the point standing. Jimmy Spencer in the Meineke Merkler's Ford wrecked the car here yesterday morning in practice, had to go to a backup car, so he's starting at the rear of the field. However, he did maintain his front stretch pitting assignment.
Here comes the field off of corner number 4. They're under command of pole sitter Dale Earnhardt. A huge crowd is here. The green flag waves, and we are underway with the Transouth Financial 500. there for 5th position. Jeff Gordon occupies it. Mark Martin made a bid on the backstretch, drops in behind him, and Morgan Shepherd comes along also. The leader of the race is Dale Earnhardt, followed by Brett Bodine and then Rusty Wallace.
We're looking from inside Morgan Shepherd's car, right directly behind Mark Martin, as he watches Martin getting underneath Jeff Gordon coming off turn 2, has position down the back straightaway.
And he'll have the advantage going into turn 3. Let's see if Gordon backs off. Yes, he does. That was a smart thing to do because Mark Martin had the preferred line.
And here comes Morgan Shepherd now to the inside of Jeff Gordon as Jeff battles back on the outside, maintains that position.
I tell you what, Jeff Gordon doing some serious racing here at the old lady. And Derek Cope trying to get alongside it. He does get alongside Morgan Shepherd.
It's Ernie Irvin in the car number 4 making that pass, both yellow cars.
There's a McDonald's car. That's Hut Strickland. And the camera here is mounted right underneath the rear spoiler. So we're looking back on Hut Strickland's car from a camera connected to the car on the rear spoiler.
And that's on Morgan Shepherd's car.
Ooh, man, oh man, Hut almost hit the wall coming off turn 4 as we look back at it.
Almost striped her coming off 4.
Mark Martin is on the move here. James Hilton making an early pit stop. Looks like some smoke on the right side of that car.
Yeah, we can see smoke coming out of the engine.
There is Dale Earnhardt, the leader of the race, and Jeff Bodine running second, about 5 car lengths behind. Rusty Wallace is in 3rd spot, followed by Mark Martin and then Dale Jarrett.
Mark Martin has moved from his 6th starting position up to 4th now. He was really fast in practice here yesterday afternoon. And of course, he was very fast, as we mentioned in the Open, in the Southern 500 here last year.
Let's further explain this qualifying thing. The rule was that if you are a rookie, you cannot participate in first day qualifying.
I said qualified, right? First day, yes.
And they changed the rule to read you have to be a track rookie. You must never have competed here before.
And let's face it, Jeff Gordon, Bobby Labonte, and Kenny Wallace, they're not rookies at this racetrack. They've got plenty of experience here.
And one thing that Jeff Gordon talked about was exactly what you talked about, Benny, and how he's going to have to maintain his cool. He's, of course, he grew up in short track racing. And here is a battle for 3rd position as Mark Martin has drawn alongside of Rusty Wallace down the backstretch and takes over 3rd position.
Last fall at the Mountain Dew Southern 500, this 6 car was a class of the field, and it looks like he hasn't lost too much over there.
No, he hasn't been. I expect he has the same setup under that Valvoline Ford, and he is on the move.
There are 2 teams, in my opinion, this year that have such an incredible mental attitude toward the championship this year. These 2 teams right here, Mark Martin's Jack Roush team and Rusty Wallace's Roger Penske team.
They are pumped up. There is no doubt about it. Have good fast race cars, good drivers, and good crews.
First 2, however, have separated themselves quite a bit from Martin and Rusty. First 2, of course, are Earnhardt and Bodine.
As a result of the rain we had here over the weekend, the drivers didn't get quite as much practice as they normally would. They did get a practice yesterday after the Mark III Vans 200 Busch Grand National race, but it was not as long as normal because it got dark.
And it rained overnight, and so they're dealing with a completely green racetrack as they take the green flag today.
And I tell you what, all the fellas you talked to in the pit area thought the 3 car was just going to blast away. They said Earnhardt is flying, but Ned, I'm impressed with Jeff Bodine. He's hanging around on that back bumper.
Bud Moore's cars always run well here. Bud owns the car number 15, the Motorcraft Ford of Jeff Bodine, and he's about to make a pass.
Look at that. Right alongside Earnhardt. They're side by side, and they touch.
Ooh.
Sideways, both of them.
Coming up,
and they touch again.
Down the backstretch. Paint training here in the early going of this race.
Boy, now Earnhardt stayed after every driver we've seen with somebody on the inside and backed off going into turn 3. Earnhardt didn't back off. He just stayed right out there.
And they're still side by side.
Now Jeff backs off a little bit and falls in behind Dale. All that has allowed Mark Martin to close in very close to his 3rd spot.
Man, oh man, watch as they come off the 2nd corner. They go up, touch. Both the cars get sideways. They straighten out. Now they go back and touch again.
And now here goes Mark Martin trying to take over 2nd from Jeff, and he does.
Yeah, he has the fastest car, I believe. He ran them down from back in his 6th starting position all the way up to 2nd now.
Man, we are only 10 laps into this race and have seen some great battling on the racetrack and bumping and banging already. We'll take a break and be back with more live coverage from Darlington. ESPN Speed World today at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina for the Transouth Financial 500. There is first Dale Earnhardt and second Mark Martin. Third is Jeff Bodine. Fourth is Jeff Gordon, and fifth is Rusty Wallace. Good battle up front here as Martin has closed in on Earnhardt. Here's a good battle between Hut Strickland in 27 and Alan Kowicki in number 7. That would be for the 12th position.
Hut Strickland has been running higher than most everyone around the racetrack. Up in 1 and 2, 3 and 4 there. Back to the lead. Earnhardt and Mark Martin. And we can see on the 3 on the side of the Goodwrench Chevrolet where he and Jeff Bodine made some contact at this very spot just a few laps ago.
Mark Martin has not won on this racetrack, but he has finished in the top 5 in the last 4 Transouth Financial 500s. As a matter of fact, Earnhardt was the only starter in the top 10 who had won at this racetrack.
And Mark trying to get alongside Earnhardt down the front straightaway as we look from the blimp.
Well, Earnhardt has already started using the high line around there, so that leaves Martin some room down on the inside, Benny, but he can't get the traction off of turn 2 to make the run.
Harry Gant is coming in, apparently black flag.
Yeah, he was given the black flag. Bob, I think he might have an oil leak or something. They're going under the hood of the Skull Bandit Chevrolet. How about it, Jerry?
You're exactly right, and that's exactly what happened. The car began to smoke about 5 laps ago, and Gant complained the car was getting loose. They may have an oil leak as we have a lead change up front, actually a side-by-side battle up there as Earnhardt holds off Mark Martin in a good battle up front while we're watching Harry Gant in the pits with the hood up, and they are beneath the hood. Apparently an oil leak, a black flag Gant to bring him down pit road, but still a great battle back up front.
Tough luck for Harry Gant as he sits on pit road and watches everybody else battle for position on the track. Earnhardt with now about a 2-car length advantage on Mark Martin, but Martin closes up once again down the front stretch.
I tell you what, these guys are racing, Ned. Man,
Yes, they are. Very, very racy. Here goes Martin again on the inside of Earnhardt. He might. No, he can't do it. The Ford just wouldn't get traction as they come off of that turn, folks. That's a sharp turn coming off of there, and when they turn that steering wheel to the left, try to accelerate at the same time, it'll break the back end loose, and it'll spin out from under you, as Benny Parsons well knows.
Yeah, you saw a picture of that in 1984.
I didn't think we'd ever see that again. I thought you had erased that from all archives.
We shouldn't do him that way every time we come to Darlington.
Hey, that's embedded in the back of my brain. It'll always be there. Once again, Martin's trying it again. But as Ned said, he just can't get that traction on the low side of the racetrack that he needs.
You see the wheel mark on the black 3. That's caused by Jeff Bodine's encounter with him earlier. There is Bodine. He continues to run in third. And fourth position now is Jeff Gordon, who is doing a great job in his rookie Winston Cup start here at Darlington. Jerry?
And Bob, it's a few laps ago, Jeff Gordon got an official introduction to Darlington Raceway. Coming off turn 4, he smacked the wall with the right side of the car. I spoke with Ray Abraham a minute ago. Ray said, well, the car is a little bit tight, so it's hard to turn. A number of drivers complaining of tight race cars being hard to turn. But Gordon now officially has his first Darlington strike.
And we're watching Rusty Wallace as he fights the wheel on the Miller Pontiac through these turns at Darlington. Coming up on him, not too far behind, he's about 15 or 20 car lengths, is Kyle Petty. Kyle Petty is one of the fastest cars on the track. He is definitely moving up through there. There we see him as he comes off of turn 4, sort of running by himself right now, but he has passed a lot of good race cars to get up here in 6th position.
Boy, Rusty really sawed the wheel there in the second corner a couple of laps ago. It looked like he almost lost it.
Well, that's just shows you how much the back end will break loose coming off of that turn, and that's what he's having to do, is saw that wheel to try to keep the back end behind him.
And there's the Ernie Irvin Kodak Film Chevrolet, the one I called the Bojangles Ford a moment ago. They're both yellow, or close to yellow. And the Daytona 500 winner, Dale Jarrett. Ned, have you settled back down after that Daytona 500 win yet?
Well, I tell you, when you come to some of these other tracks, you get your feet on the ground pretty quickly.
The guy that started 18th is now up to 9th position. That is the number 8 car of Sterling Marlin, who was the pole sitter here last year. A bid for the lead again by Mark Martin. I believe he's going to get him this time.
I don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't know. I mean, Earnhardt is just determined, I will not be passed. There they come up on James Hilton, and they go by. Harry Gant's back on the racetrack, lost several laps while they were checking for the oil leak.
There you see Harry Gant, by the way, who did come back out onto the racetrack. Our first Autoline field summary. Watch for these every 10 minutes or so to give you an indication of where your favorite driver is running.
Earnhardt lost it back in just a little bit off that second corner. Yet it looks like that second corner is treacherous today. All the guys get a little loose.
Yes, it does look like it's going to be a tough turn. And as these tires get worn, this track is a little abrasive now. It's been a while since it's been paved, and it does wear the good part off the tires pretty quickly. And as that happens and the tire heats up, I expect we'll see more slipping and sliding off that turn.
We saw tire wear yesterday during the Busch Grand National race. John, what's the story in the early laps of this event?
Well, Bob, what we're looking at, the tires are really falling off even after 5 laps, 10 laps. You're going to lose a second, maybe even more, as they continue to run green flag laps. Now, we did a little bit of a survey on pit road. Some of the teams said on fuel, they could go as far as 68 laps, but tires giving up so much, we'll see people probably start to pitting between laps 45 and 55. We'll have to wait and see what happens with Dale Earnhardt, the leader. When he pits, we'll see just about everybody else come down pit road. And now to the front stretch pits to Jerry Punch.
Well, while you're watching that fierce battle up front between Mark Martin and Dale Earnhardt, we'll tell you that a 4-time winner here at Darlington, Harry Gant, is going to have to call it a day. Gant went back off of pit road, the car began to vibrate, and suddenly the engine let go. They're going to go back to the garage area, but it has been a short afternoon for the Taylorsville, North Carolina driver, and Earnhardt still leads Martin by half a car length.
They continue to battle nose to tail and side by side as the last lap was turned at 148.86 miles an hour. Martin, however, has been unable to wrestle that lead away from Earnhardt.
148 miles per hour. If Dale Earnhardt had been able to qualify, his speed would have been around 162, 163 miles per hour. So we can see that they've lost 14, 15 miles per hour of speed in just 26, 25 laps of the race.
Group of cars running together, led by Morgan Shepherd down the backstretch. Also included is Hut Strickland. That is Terry Labonte also in line. And we're looking back on Hut's car from Morgan Shepherd as Labonte goes to the inside here on the main straightaway.
Has position on Hut Strickland. Let's see, is Hut going to back off? No, they race down in the corner. Ned, they're racing in these corners more than I've ever seen at this race.
They really are, right side by side through these turns. But still, those cars on the inside, as we saw Terry Labonte having trouble getting traction down on the low group.
This race is 367 laps. We've completed 28. Here are the top 10. We'll be back with more of our live coverage after this. Transouth Financial 500 underway here at Darlington. 5th stop on the NASCAR Winston Cup Tour for 1993. Next Saturday, we'll be at Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee for the Busch Grand National Race, the Budweiser 250. That's at 2 o'clock next Saturday afternoon. And then the next day, more Winston Cup coverage. This time it's the Food City 500 at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, where Alan Kowicki is the defending champion. Well, we sure are getting some beautiful shots from overhead Darlington, brought to you by the Family Channel Blimp. Currently on a 93 Goodwill Tour, making a number of appearances at major sporting events, concerts, and fairs across the country. It's still the same on the racetrack. It is Dale Earnhardt leading Mark Martin, with Mark knocking on the door.
We've seen this picture, what, 15, 20 times already. Mark Martin trying to get alongside Dale Earnhardt. Can't do it.
And the 4-car slows, and Dale Jarrett goes around.
I think Ernie is having a chassis problem, and his tires might be going away a little bit, because he was about 2.5 seconds ahead of Jarrett in the last 5 laps. Jarrett is running down and now has passed him. So Ernie ran strong in the early part of the race in the Kodak Film Chevrolet, but now has dropped back to the
8th position. Dale is in 7th. Yeah.
And there we see the 8-car Sterling Marlin reversed his Ford in 9th.
A little further up the racetrack, Jeff Bodine has 3rd spot, and Jeff Gordon has 4th.
And they've been racing for about 8 or 10 laps now, Bob. And one time, Jeff Gordon got up beside of Jeff Bodine, but just could not make the pass.
Now there's the Bojangles Ford.
Yeah, there he is.
There's Jerry Cope. as Jeff Bodine and Jeff Gordon go by him. I tell you what, Ned, Jeff Gordon is looking just as well here in Darlington as he has all the rest of the racetracks.
He has looked exceptionally well. He has driven the car well. He has a good race car and a good team behind him, and he has responded by driving well. Let's go to the pits and John Kearney.
Bobby Hillin is in the pits here on the back stretch. He's experiencing overheating, and as you look at the front grill, look at all that rubber that's being wiped off. Remember last year we saw a lot of the teams have that same problem, overheating, and then consequently they blew their engines. Crew Chief Doug Williams putting some water into the radiator. They will also do a 4-tire change. They also take off a piece of tape trying to get more air into the radiator. Also, you saw it went up in a hurry, 2.5, 3 pumps. And Bobby Hillin's crew is working away. Let's go to the front stretch pits and Jerry Punch.
And John, over here, at least 2 more teams are complaining that their driver is seeing some temperature rising in the car. An overheating problem possibly with the car number 26 of Brett Bodine, the Quaker State Ford. Also complaining of an overheating problem, the car number 40, that's Kenny Wallace, the Dirt Devil Pontiac. So early on here in Darlington, some problems with some of the young drivers.
Guys, you remember the race that I won here in 1965 by 14 laps? I didn't outrun everybody by 14 laps. They had exactly the same problem that they're having here today. A lot of rubber coming off the tires, getting in the grill of the other car, shutting off the air going in there, so they had no cooling. And that's exactly what happened that day.
And we had a great shot of the Halleck Myers Ford grill and all that rubber packed in. There's no way air can get in there to cool the thing off.
Talk about how much Winston Cup racing has changed over the years, but I guess not so much, at least here.
And you wonder if Mark Martin, how much he might be getting in his grill as close as he has been running to Dale Earnhardt.
And maybe, just maybe, that's why Dale Earnhardt is being so hard-headed about being passed. He wants to stay up front and keep that rubber out of his grill.
Good point.
Mark was so dominant in the early part of the going in yesterday's Grand National race here at the Darlington, but also ran into an overheating problem.
He did overheat. They really don't know why. They did not blame it on rubber being in the grill. They said it didn't have any water in it, but he did overheat.
We mentioned how Ernie Irvan has been losing position. Jerry, what have you been able to find out?
No doubt he has a handling problem. Ernie Irvan said the car just continues to go away, so what he's decided to do is they're going to bring him down pit road. And just a next lap or 2, they might have a tire going down. Many of the drivers realize with the radial tires, you simply can't tell when a tire is going down as opposed to the old bias ply tire when the car would begin to bounce and vibrate. These cars just handle poorly for a few laps, and suddenly it may even get cut and explode. So rather than take a chance, they're going to bring Ernie Irvan down pit road. And now the Quaker State team has Brett Bodine in the pits for the overheating problem. And we got a change up front at the car number 6, Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin really battling up front as we wait for Ernie Irvan here in the pits. Bob?
Yeah, it was another one of those, I'm going to try to get the lead away, but he failed. And so Earnhardt continues to lead this race.
I'll tell you, it's a good thing that Mark Martin is a good, fair, smart race driver, or he would have gone right on into that turn. You might have him this time.
Yep,
He's going to
he
clear him. No.
It's inches. It's just inches. Earnhardt is still there. He's going to go in.
And Mark backs off and lets him go again. And that's the kind of guy Mark Martin is. He knew he touched Dale Earnhardt and backed off to let him get back up there. Jerry Punch, there's the car in front of him.
Well, while Ernie Irvan's in, you watch a battle up front. We're watching Ernie Irvan in the pits. One of the early possible contenders here having an early pit stop, an unscheduled stop for what may have been a tire going down. It will change all 4 tires. They had no choice here in the early laps. We are showing 41 laps in the books. Many of the teams could go 65 laps. They would probably have only gone around 50 for the first tire stop. Left side tires are on. Ernie Irvan is down and away.
Just a little bit of a chassis adjustment on that car to get it to handle better. And with 4 new tires, Irvan is back on the racetrack. Now here comes Earnhardt and Martin approaching some slower traffic. That is the 71 car of Dave Marcus. Mark takes a look on the inside again at the end of the straightaway, but doesn't make a bid for the lead. But
he's
now
going to try it again on the inside. Nah, he doesn't have him this time.
No, Dave Marcus will move out of the way, but he'll be in Mark Martin's way going into turn 3, I think.
Well, yeah, Martin backs off. They're going to follow Dave Marcus in the corner. Marcus goes up. I think that Marcus will probably drop down as we come off turn 4. Let's see if he does. So he might be racing these guys, trying his best to stay in the lead lap.
Dave
Now he moves over.
in 28th position, and now he does go a lap down. So 27 cars still on the lead lap after 43 laps. There's Brett Bodine. Now remember, he came in and got some new tires, and look how much faster that car is.
Oh, yeah, he'll be a second and a half or maybe 2 seconds a lap faster for a few laps. He'll just blow him by. Won't even have to argue with him when he goes by. He'll just barely wave and say, see you later.
Yeah, Dale Earnhardt couldn't do anything about Brett Bodine if he was to run across that group right now, because with those new tires, he's probably 2 seconds a lap faster than Earnhardt and Martin Martin, the leaders of the race.
In fact, there were some of the drivers and teams talking about Benny making an extra pit stop, figuring that they could make it up in the lap times and more than make up that extra pit stop by changing those tires a little more often.
45 laps completed. It is still Dale Earnhardt leading the Transouth Financial 500 over Mark Martin. We'll be right back. As you rejoin us here at Darlington, again we see Mark Martin making a bid for the lead, but as he gets to turn 3, has to back off, and Dale Earnhardt remains in control.
Well, the tires are just so worn that Martin can't take the car in there and lean on those tires. He has to have the complete racetrack once he gets in there. That's why he's backing off.
Now, fellas, while that was going on up front, take a look at what was happening here for third place between Jeff Bodine and Jeff Gordon. They ran up on Rick Wilson and Richard Petty's SDP Pontiac. Bodine had to back off a little bit. Gordon saw the opportunity to run up on the outside and momentarily moves around. In fact, does take over the third position.
This is back for first and second. Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin.
You'll recall that Mark Martin dominated this race at Atlanta just a week ago. He led 140 laps before the engine gave up. And speaking of engines going up, we do have a problem that's developed on one of the cars.
That's Phil Parsons.
And now Mark Martin, I believe he got him this time.
Yeah, he got him. He cleared him. Earnhardt will try to come. What he expects Martin to do is go into turn 3 and slide up. And he'll try to get under him. But Earnhardt's planning on pitting here, I guess, before too long. Well, Martin beat him in there fair and square.
And here is Sterling Marlin to the inside of Rusty Wallace.
Yeah, Rusty's car has gone away.
Ricky Rudd going to try to get inside. He does. Along comes Terry Labonte. All these cars going by Rusty Wallace.
You'll see Wallace in the pits before too long. He's not going to continue to back up. In fact, Earnhardt's crew is getting up on the wall right now with tires, so he'll be coming in before too long.
We're at lap number 50, and about as far as they can stretch it is lap 55 or 60, so we will begin to see some pit stops momentarily. The GM Goodwrench crew is, as Ned said, on its feet.
He's coming in.
And Earnhardt is slowing down, dropping off the banking in turn number 4 and headed for pit road. Jerry, he's coming down toward you. It'll be a while because of the speed limit on pit road, but Earnhardt is coming in.
And Bob, the determining factor for when they would pit would be the stopwatch. They were seeing how much slower he was getting. The Goodyear tires here really give up in a hurry. Nothing wrong with the tire, but it's very, very abrasive. Now watch the jack now. Watch how quickly David Smith, 2 pumps. That car is up off the ground. Right side tires already going on. Left side lug nuts are on. Andy Petrie now on the left side of the car. Here is David Smith already on the left side with the jack. Remember, this is how these pit stops are done so quickly. 2 left side tires on. Lug nuts are fastened. And he is down and away. Another good pit stop. 19-second stop for the Goodwrench crew.
Rusty Wallace also on pit road. As you see, his service is completed. He's rolling again.
Knew he wouldn't stay out there long. When those cars all passed him, he said, I got to have some tires on this Pontiac.
We're watching from inside Rusty's car as he builds up speed in turn 1. And here is Ken Schrader on pit road along with Davey Allison. Schrader gave up the 10th position, and Allison was running 16th when they came in for their stops. Here's the leader, Mark Martin, coming down.
He just can't stand to stay on the racetrack running 2 seconds of a lap slower than Dale Earnhardt's going to run when he gets back out there. He's got to come in and get him some tires.
Yeah, if you stay out there 5 more laps, that's 10 seconds. They'd be ahead of you.
Steve Meal and the crew goes to work. Jerry, you there?
We are here. They have the right side tires off. Left side lug nuts already loosened. Fueling the car. Now Steve Meal and crew come around to the left side. Jack already under the car. Left rear, left front. Now the catch can man goes across. Down and away. 18.2 seconds. What a pit stop for the Valvoline crew.
Now the rookie driver Jeff Gordon coming into the pits in the DuPont Chevrolet. He would have taken over the lead. In fact, he might have still led the lap because he came across the start-finish line down on pit road. Kyle Petty is in. Jeff Bodine should be the leader of the race now. Let's go back to the pits for Jerry Punch.
Let's watch Ray Evernham and his crew go to work on the DuPont Chevrolet, the Hendrick-owned machine of rookie driver Jeff Gordon. Already the right side tires on. We've already seen an 18.2-second stop by the Valvoline car, Mark Martin. Another great stop, 20.8. Not a bad stop for a brand new crew.
The 15 car of Bodine is in, and Kyle Petty rolls back out. Just ahead of Jeff is Alan Kulwicki on pit road.
Bodine stayed out there to lead a lap. Dale Jarrett is the leader right now. He has stayed out there to lead a lap as well. We're looking at the time of Bud Moore and the crew. Now, the average age that Jerry Punch talked about might be a little bit up on this team because you got one guy, Harold Scott, about 50 years old, but he's one of the best in the business. 21 seconds.
A little slower than Earnhardt and Mark Martin, but not bad at all. Here is Dale Jarrett on pit road. And by the way, Jeff Bodine's leading of this race means that he's now the only driver to lead every race in the 1993 season. Dale Jarrett is in.
Well, a young driver who's been battling pneumonia all week. Early in the week, the question mark was whether he'd be here or not. Of course, you don't tell a race driver anything about not coming to a racetrack. He's taking medication, and he's here in the race car, as he was yesterday. Already the right side tires are on the Interstate Battery Chevrolet. They make a chassis adjustment, trying to loosen the car up. The car was very tight and pushing just a little bit. Now, left side tires on the car, and the Interstate crew at 23.3 seconds. They're down and away.
Coming out just ahead of Dale is Sterling Marlin in number 8. Terry Labonte is on pit road in the Kellogg's Cornflakes Lumina. As the crew changes tires on the right side, now comes to the left side.
I believe he had just taken over the lead, Terry Labonte, before he came in. A lot of different drivers are going to pick up 5 bonus points by staying out there. In fact, Darrell Waltrip is staying out there now. 21.2 for Terry Labonte in the Kellogg Chevrolet. Darrell Waltrip, I believe, will be the leader now. Of course, Darrell is the gas mileage team. Of course, gas mileage is not the key here right now. They can still go. Darrell Waltrip, I guarantee you, can go another 7 or 8 laps as far as gas is concerned.
But his tires are just worn out. Rick Wilson has stopped, and we see him pull on the inside and try to pass Darrell Waltrip, and will pass him going in turn 3 with ease because his tires are less worn than Darrell's.
Now, Darrell Waltrip will be pitting on the backstretch.
And there's a spin. Darrell Waltrip may get a break. I don't know if they're going to throw the cross or not. There was a spin down in turn 1.
Just like last week at Texas World Speedway that we televised for you. The spinner, by the way, was Bobby Labonte in car number 22 when Waltrip stretched his first pit stop to the point where he got a caution and put everybody a lap down. However, we will see no caution on the spin by Labonte.
And boy, these cars that are going by Darrell Waltrip right now are happy to do so because that puts them back in the lead lap. They were a lap down as a result of their pit stops. Now they don't care if a caution comes out. Those particular cars, Morgan Shepherd goes by and the sit go forward. But Darrell is going to, as a result of staying out there, he's going to be way behind once he makes his pit stop. And you can see how fast the others are who have been in the pits and got fresh tires.
Watch these guys. They're going by the race leader like he is on 7 cylinders.
Yep, he's coming in.
There he goes in the back pits.
Darrell Waltrip off the banking, headed for his pit on the backstretch. John Kernan, you out there?
Yeah, Bob, you know, we said it was a disadvantage to pit on the backstretch. That's only under caution. Under green, that's what these guys want to see, a green flag race the rest of the way. They figure they can do quick work back here in the pits and beat everyone else. Darrell will pull the Western Auto Chevrolet in. Barry Dodson sticks the jack in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't have one of those new kinds of jacks. They're going around on the right side. Darrell making a play. Billy Hodges will take a round of wedge out of the right rear. Still making a chassis adjustment. Once again, you see 5, 6 pumps on the jack handle from Barry Dodson to get the car up off the ground. Left side's going on. Darrell sitting on pit road, waiting. Left rear is good. 23.1. A slow pit stop for Darrell Waltrip.
In relative terms. Yes.
In relative terms. That was a world beater a couple of years ago. But right now, the benchmark is around 18 seconds.
Hey, when I was driving race cars, that was a good pit stop for 2 tire changes.
Yeah.
And it wasn't because of the driver, though.
No, that's right.
Well, Earnhardt, now that the pit stops have been completed, resumes command of the Transouth Financial 500. Mark Martin is in second position, Jeff Gordon third, Jeff Bodine fourth, and Ernie Irvin being shown in fifth position. 62 laps, 63 laps have been completed. Back with more after this. When you visit Darlington Raceway, there are all sorts of other things that you can see in the immediate area. This is the Collins House, an old southern plantation. It's a bed and breakfast currently, but it also hosts a lot of wedding receptions and parties and that type of thing. It's a taste of the Old South here near Darlington International Raceway, the Collins House.
Looks like the house I grew up in.
I was going to say, that looks like your old place, Benny.
Not the first one, the second one you saw.
Well, the overhead shots again being provided by the Family Channel blimp. Measures 132 feet in length, has a capacity to accommodate up to 4 passengers along with the pilot. And the pilot today is Alan Burrows. And Alan, you're doing a great job up there, and you're providing some great pictures for us overhead Darlington Raceway. There's a leader, Dale Earnhardt.
Now remember, Mark Martin had taken the lead before the round of pit stops from Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt stopped, what, 3 or 4 laps before Martin did. They both made very good pit stops, almost equal, but as a result, Earnhardt coming in quicker, getting those fresh tires, he picked up several seconds out on the racetrack, but now Martin is closing that back down.
I mean, folks, 1 lap that a slow car stays on the racetrack, he's going to lose 2.5 seconds to the faster car with fresh tires. So 3 laps, we're talking about 8 seconds, 7.5 seconds. It's imperative. Once these leaders pit and they get 4 fresh tires, you better come in. Sure, a caution flag might come out and you get killed and lose a lap, but you just can't afford to take that chance.
Jerry, Dale Earnhardt looks very strong here in the early going.
Bobby has been very, very strong. Imagine the fact that the car was not handling to his liking in the first few laps. Missed the pit stop, the car is handling much, much better. Earnhardt said the car was very tight. They made a chassis adjustment during the pit stop. Now, you didn't see it on television because you couldn't see what they did. What they actually did was adjust the air pressure in the radial tires. It's something you couldn't see, but Earnhardt says now the car is driving so much better than it was before.
Earnhardt putting a lap on Michael Waltrip in car number 30, who is running in 20th position. 19 cars are on the lead lap.
Now Mark Martin pulls up behind Michael Waltrip, the Pennzoil Pontiac, trying to get by so he can stay close to Dale Earnhardt. Once again, he just can't come off that second corner on the bottom of the racetrack. He follows Michael down the back straightaway. As we go in turn 3, I guess he will try to get under him as Dale Earnhardt did the last lap. Michael goes up. Mark couldn't do it. Here he comes off turn 4. I think Michael moved up the racetrack a little bit, gave him some room.
Dale Earnhardt has won 7 times on this racetrack. 4 Transouth Financial 500s and 3 Southern 500s. And there is Mark Martin, who has not won here. Here is a look at the interval among the top 5 cars. Martin is 1,700 seconds of a second behind. Jeff Gordon is a little over 6.5. Jeff Bodine is 8 seconds behind the leader Earnhardt, and Kyle Petty, who is running 5th, is 15.8 seconds behind. Here are Davey Allison and Morgan Shepherd, and 13th and 14th position.
And both these guys winner this year. Both the cars have won, but they're certainly having their problems today, Ned.
Yeah, they aren't handling too good, not as good as they'd like to. Morgan now tries to make a move on the inside of Davey Allison. Davey's car just doesn't really seem to be getting through the turns. Certainly not the way he would like for it to.
You see Alan Kowicki, the Hooters Ford, is pulled up, and look how Morgan Shepherd just put 4 or 5 car links on Davey in no time, and Alan Kowicki goes by with ease.
Now these cars, gentlemen, are only about a straightaway ahead of Dale Earnhardt and Mark Martin, so they got to hustle to stay in the lead lap. And their crews are telling them that. They know where they stand.
And as we go back, we see that red car that's going by right there, the Budweiser Ford. That's Bill Elliott, the winner of this race last year. And Jeff is going to lap down. And here's Martin one more time trying to get by Earnhardt.
He's on the inside, won't take it away at the moment. Now let's see if he's able to between turns 1 and 2. Yes, he passes Earnhardt. How about that?
Well, those fresher tires let him get that bite down on the inside now that he couldn't get a little bit earlier. He has an awfully fast race car, and so he makes the pass and back to the front.
Mark Martin has reassumed command of the Transouth Financial 500.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, Earnhardt is back to second. Everything's kind of settled down here. We have completed 75 laps, no cautions. Let's hope that we can run this entire race without a caution. The Transouth 500, it's never been done. We'll be right back. Back at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, Benny Parsons, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch as Mark Martin leads this race, pursued closely by Dale Earnhardt. And Mark Martin has just lapped the 16th place car. The average speed at 147.2, well ahead of the track record because we have not had a caution so far.
And I don't know, has his car slowed down and allowed Earnhardt to catch up, or was that because of the traffic?
Yeah, he got in some very heavy traffic, and Earnhardt, Martin was sort of blazing the way through, and Earnhardt just followed him right on through there. I don't believe it was because I was slowing down. We'll check and see as they come up on Bill Elliott. As you mentioned earlier before we went to the break, that Elliott won this race last year, but that's the car right in front of Mark Martin, about 10 car lengths, and he'll be a lap down.
By the way, his junior was supposed to come this weekend. Have you seen him?
Haven't seen him. I talked to Mike Bean, the crew chief from the Budweiser Ford, and he said Junior was coming on Friday, but the weather was bad. They decided for him to stay at home this weekend. Hopefully we'll see him next week at the Bristol Junior. We're all thinking about you, buddy, and glad to hear that you might be joining us again at the racetrack.
Boy, are these guys running two different grooves or what? Mark Martin's going through the 1 and 2 right on the bottom of the racetrack, and Earnhardt, I mean, he'd go 6 feet wider if it wasn't for the guardrail up there.
Boy, he got way up there, didn't he?
He sure did. Now look how high he is there.
Same way in 3 and 4, yeah.
And here's Elliott and Rick Wilson right in front of Mark Martin.
Elliott is running in serial scoring recycle 17th, so just about to put a lap on him. And the Quaker State Ford, driven by Brett Bodine, is coming in.
This is his second pit stop. He came in a little bit earlier than the others on the first time. As a matter of fact, he was in on lap 38, and we're now completing lap 82. So Brett Bodine getting less than 40 laps each time before he makes a pit stop. Whether it's planned for him to do it that way, don't know, but that's what he's doing right now.
Drag racer Kenny Bernstein, the owner of the car, is here this weekend.
Great pit stop, 18.8. Wow. I tell you one thing, these guys going to get some pit stop practice today.
They really will.
There is Mark Martin. He has not yet lapped Bill Elliott, so 17 cars are on the lead lap. And Ernie Irvan is coming in.
And he was in on lap 39. We're now completing lap 83. John Kernan is in Ernie Irvan's pit area.
Well, Ned, as you pointed out, he was one of the first ones to come in for regularly scheduled pit stops. Lap 40, he will now pull into the pits on lap 83, some 43 laps, just giving up too much time, too much speed on the racetrack. So it will be a 4-tire change. Not planning any chassis changes at this time. Ernie's fairly satisfied with the way the car runs on new tires. Right side's already on. The car goes up with 4 pumps of the jack. Left side's going on. Now they do come across the wall and make a chassis change on the left rear. Front tires on, rear tires on. Ernie gets down and away. 20.4 seconds.
See, a chassis adjustment will slow the guys down about a second. Well, that's probably a great 4-tire pit stop, but making that chassis adjustment slowed them down. There's the leader, Mark Martin. We see Dale Earnhardt staying back there close.
Yeah, he's
Martin was
close.
able to get by Bill Elliott.
Yeah, he's close, but it appears to me as if Earnhardt is dropping back a little bit each lap. I don't know whether Martin is faster or Earnhardt is slower. Jerry, you down in Earnhardt's pit?
We are here, Bob, and you just saw Ernie Irvan a minute ago make a chassis adjustment. A number of drivers, including Dale Earnhardt, are fighting a car that is absolutely too tight. Earnhardt is using the top groove of the racetrack to try to keep the car freed up a little bit. They want to get another pit stop to get the car on pit road to be able to loosen it up a little bit. Earnhardt has a very tight race car. Let's check in with John Kernan down in the Jeff Gordon pit. John?
Well, Jerry, just a few laps ago, a potential problem for the rookie driver, Jeff Gordon. They couldn't reach him on the radio. They checked around frantically, all the members of the crew, to check and make sure their radio wasn't keyed, because that's what it sounded like. Somebody's radio was keyed, bleeding over on Jeff and wiping him out. What they determined was that someone in the near vicinity were on a similar frequency and were wiping Jeff out. Could potentially be a big problem, but not so. They had a backup channel. They have gone to the backup channel, so now everything is okay. They have reestablished communication with Gordon.
You know, I was talking to people at the Racing Radios, Diversified Electronics, that makes every Winston Cup race, and they told me Davey Allison has a spare radio in his car for a situation like that on an entirely different frequency and everything else.
And again, there's a perfect example of what fresh tires will do for you. Ernie Irvin, who was just in and got the 4 tires, he has unlapped himself, blowing by the leader, Mark Martin.
Oh, yeah, it didn't take him hardly any time at all. In fact, Bob, I believe he had gone 2 laps down when he finished his pit stop, and now he would be shown as only 1 lap down. He was a good half a lap behind the leaders before he came in and made his pit stop.
Here comes Martin. There is Earnhardt, the interval between first and second.
Now watch him go in this corner. Look how high he goes. Watch how high he goes. I'm telling you, he needs 6 more feet. But there's that white thing that won't let him go up.
Earnhardt has won 6 of the last 13 races here at Darlington. That's 46%. His last win here was both races in 1990.
All right, let's watch Mark Martin as he goes down in turn 1. That's Earnhardt we're watching now, the black car. Camera will turn, and we'll catch Martin. Watch, he goes in the corner and stays right on the bottom of the racetrack. Well, moves up a little bit off the white line, but Ned, he's basically on the bottom.
Yes, he is, and that's an indication that that Ford is really handling good, that he can keep it down there.
This is from the Family Channel blimp.
We see how high Martin goes up in 3 and 4. Earnhardt practically tracks him up there. It's down in 1 and 2 that the lines are so totally different. There they go behind the grandstand. There goes Martin and Earnhardt. Watch the speed he goes up. Now we can see Martin on the ends. Look at well, did he hit the wall?
He did at that time.
Yeah, he did. Well, I don't know. He came close if he did.
Well, I mean, you can't tell he's up there every time.
He's already got a mark on the left side of the car put there by Jeff O'Dine early, and I wouldn't be surprised with what he has a stripe on the right side of the car caused by brushing the wall. Here's Ken Schrader passing Rusty Wallace. Ricky Rudd is also there. So is Wally Dallenbach and Dale Jarrett. This is from Rusty's car.
Go in the corner. Get on the brakes. Dale Jarrett goes by the Wally Dallenbach car.
You know, Jarrett had that 23.3-second pit stop, and he stayed out there a little longer than the others as a result of wanting to pick up 5 bonus points for leading the race, and he was back in 18th position, but he has been coming back up through the field.
Yeah, he's
good
up to 9th, Ned. Up into the top 10.
And you can see Rudd and Rusty Wallace glued together down the back straightaway.
This is 7th, 8th, and 9th here. Rudd is 7th.
Here comes Jarrett on the inside of Rusty and takes that position away.
That's 8th. Wallace back to 9th.
Rusty's tires are going away, as we saw it a little bit earlier. When they get worn, he'll be in the pits in the next 10 laps.
Mark Martin leads Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, Jeff Bodine, and Kyle Petty with 93 out of 367 laps complete. There's the interval leaderboard showing that Mark Martin has a 0.17-second lead over Dale Earnhardt. Jeff Gordon is 6.76 seconds behind. Jeff Bodine is 8 seconds to the rears, and Kyle Petty is 15.8 seconds behind the leader, Mark Martin.
Did you just do that?
Yeah, how about that?
How come it's almost the same as last time?
No, I can't explain that. Yeah. It's not my fault.
And then you think maybe the race cars running the same speed they were running before, huh?
That could explain it. Mark Martin has finished out of the top 10 only once in 1993. At Atlanta, he finished 32nd. But he had a great race before he popped out. He has a 6th at Daytona, 5th at Rockingham, and a 7th at Richmond.
Bill Elliott's going into the pits on the backstretch, and Dale Earnhardt apparently is about ready to come in here on the front stretch.
The GM Goodwrench crew is positioned right across from us here in the booth, and we notice that they are gathering up the tools and ready to come on to the pit road as Dale Earnhardt comes down. Jerry Punch is also standing right there. Jerry?
Well, Rusty Wallace will also come down pit road momentarily, but Earnhardt's crew, remember, they just pitted on lap 50. That's 48 laps to go, so they're not getting a lot of laps here. The tires are going away as far as lap times are concerned. Right side tires are already going on the Goodwrench Chevrolet. Andy Petrie and the crew. One can of fuel in. Now here's Davis Smith to the left side. Once again, the left rear window will take a roundup wedge out, trying to loosen the car up a little bit. Left front, now left rear, tires are on. The Goodwrench car off the jack. 22.9. Rusty Wallace now in his Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac crew, already having put right side tires on that car, putting left side tires on. Ted Musgrave's car comes down. Rusty pulls out. Musgrave hits the brakes.
And Jerry, Jeff Gordon has crashed. Jeff Gordon has crashed, and the yellow flag is coming out.
And that's a disadvantage for Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace, who had just made pit stops. I expect we're going to see them a lap down. Everybody else will get to come in and make their pit stops under caution.
Well, I don't know what happened to Jeff going in turn one. I have no idea. But we can see we can make some heavy contact. And I'm telling you, this place is unbelievable.
He shortened up that car considerably, didn't he?
Sure did. Man, he's hit the wall hard. We can see that Jeff is okay. He's driving the car back, and he's about as hot as you can get. Because he had a great run going. Was running third, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Pretty far ahead of Jeff Bodine. He was running in the 4th position at that time. Matter of fact, he moved up to second after Earnhardt had made his pit stop.
And there we see him slowly going down pits. And the official said, go take it to the garage area.
Yeah.
Don't bring it on pit road. So he makes it hard left. And they're going to have to work on the car either behind their pit or by their truck.
Meanwhile, the pace car has pulled out onto the racetrack and picked up the field. And now those on the lead lap are able to come in for a stop. And here comes Mark Martin and Jeff Bodine. Others pitting will include Kyle Petty and Dale Jarrett. John Kernan is in Mark Martin's pit, ready for the stop.
Mark Martin pulls in. The team will go to work. Jeff Bodine pulls in about 3 pits just down pit road from him. You see him cleaning off the rubber off the front grille. Mark had complained of the car being just a little bit too tight, but we just talked with Steve Hill. He doesn't anticipate making any type of chassis adjustment. They say they're going to leave it just like it is. Mark pretty happy with the race car. Right side's already on. Left side's going on a pretty good pit stop for Mark Martin in progress. Mark will leave pit road 18.9 seconds, and Jeff Bodine leaves pit road shortly behind him.
And Kyle Petty's coming down pit road. Looks like he's going to come out of the mix in 3rd spot. Ricky Rudd 4th. Hutch Strickland is going to be 6th, I guess, right behind Dale Jarrett. I think Jarrett beat him barely.
Yeah, I think so too. Jarrett is pitted down toward the exit of the pits, and I think got out ahead of Hutt. We will check in on Jeff Gordon and talk with him and see what happened and see if he might be able to make repairs and get back out there when we return to Darlington, South Carolina. Back at Darlington, under caution, the NASCAR Winston Cup Transouth Financial 500. Under caution for the first time due to a crash involving Jeff Gordon. Here's Jerry.
Well, the 21-year-old rookie sitting in the car, and Jeff, you had a great run running third. What happened out there?
You know, I'm just so frustrated right now. I cannot believe Michael Waltrip. I mean, I got new tires. I'm getting ready to make a pit stop. Running third. He's however many laps down. I mean, he knows better. He's been running too long in Winston Cup to know that the difference between the speed of new tires and old tires is great here at Darlington. There's a big difference. And, I mean, I was giving him the inside, and what'd he do? He just drove right in.
How bad is the car hurt, Jeffrey?
Oh, I mean, you know, I hit pretty hard. I hit a lot harder than I thought I was going to. All I could do is just lock it down. I'm just devastated. I cannot believe he ran into me. I mean, there was just no questions about it. He just drove in there. I'm sure he just drove in too hard and just drove into me.
A very frustrated and devastated young man, and his DuPont Chevrolet heavily damaged. The entire rear of the car has been pushed in, shortened by about 4.5 feet. Ray Abraham and the rest of the DuPont crew trying to get the car pushed out, and a young man sitting in the seat. You could hear how upset this 21-year-old rookie actually was, Bob.
Yeah, you can hear the hammers and the other tools that are already in motion trying to repair this car to the point of getting it back onto the racetrack. Well, this brings up an interesting subject. How do you build a Winston Cup car? Here's Benny.
We call them stock cars, but they aren't really stock cars. They're race cars. And this year, each week, we're going to take you through the step-by-step process of building a race car.
We went to Hendrick Motorsports to the race car buildup. This is the parts we're going to start with. We're going to build a chassis. It goes on a surface plate, a plate that's exactly level. First, the side rails will go on. This is square tubing attached together, placed at the height that NASCAR requires the race cars to be. Next, we'll add the front clip. You hear drivers talking about they knocked off a front clip. All they got to do is put the race cars back on, cut this off, and put a new one on. They're placed at the height that each team prefers. Next, the rear clip. And you hear guys, when they back in the wall, all I did was damage the rear clip. They can simply cut this off, weld on a new one. All that does is hold a gas tank and a place to attach the sheet metal. Now we're putting the floor pan on the car. This is basically to keep the heat and the debris out of the race car, to keep the driver clean. Next, a roll cage is prefabricated away from the surface plate. It's now brought over, placed on the frame, and welded on at the position it goes. Now we'll add the firewalls, front and rear, to keep the heat, debris, and fire out of the driver's compartment. Next week, we'll add the sheet metal on this car so it'll start looking more like a race car.
And we'll look forward to that at Bristol next week. Meanwhile, the field has just received the green flag. They've raced under green for less than a half a lap. Now, there are the 13th and 14th place cars, Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace. They are 13th and 14th. They're on the lead lap, but the length of the racetrack behind the leader of this event, and that is the number 6 car of Mark Martin.
Yeah, he's had several cars in front of him. And two of them, Rusty Wallace and Dale Earnhardt, are only one lap down. Well, they're not really a lap down. They're at the tail end of the lead lap. Let's also mention that Alan Kawicki stayed out and did not pit on the first lap of the caution. He could have, but he stayed out and led the race, got himself 5 bonus points. He really didn't lose that much because he was back there about 12th to 13th anyway, so he's still there about the 15th now.
That's how you win Winston Cup championships, by getting as many bonus points as possible. And Allen has received his for this race.
In fact, he's 11th right now.
We're looking at a race leader, Mark Martin, from the back of Brett Bodine's Quaker State Ford. There's some Ford telemetry in these cars as they're accelerating down the back straightaway. RPM 8,300, about 175 miles per hour. 158 miles an hour in the corner. Tapping the brake as he comes off turn 4 to head down the front straightaway. Once again, you'll watch the tack. It should be a little more down the front. We saw 8,400 briefly.
Rick Mast got sideways, saved it. Almost a crash. Close moment for Rick Mast down in turn number 4. Here is what happened.
That's Rick up on the outside. Oh, he gets in the debris, hits the wall. Gets in the wall, gets the car out of shape, almost crashes.
Right in front of Alan Kawicki. Alan was watching what was going on, moved around him down the front straightaway.
There we see Davey Allison going by Rick.
Looks like it may have affected that car a little bit because he's losing positions.
I think he hit the wall up in 3 and 4 is what started all this.
Yep.
He's probably bent something.
Yep.
Let's take a look at Kyle Petty is on the move. He's in 3rd place right now, trying to move around Jeff Bodine. He had a fender up alongside him there just a moment ago, but couldn't make the pass. Let's see as he comes through turns 3 and 4. He puts the Pontiac down low. Bodine goes high.
Oh,
Bodine went too high. Well, Bodine went way too high.
He hit the wall up there, just almost exactly like Rick Mast did.
You wonder if there's a little oil or something up there. Of course, if you get too high, just like you said, Ben, he gets those right side tires up in that loose stuff. Now Jeff's going to have to ride on pins and needles for a little bit. Dale Jarrett coming up on him.
There's a lot of accumulation of tire rubber up there on the upper groove, and I think he may have got in the marbles, as they're called in racing terms.
I think he did. There he goes up. The rear catches the wall. That brings the front around and looked almost identical to Rick Mast's situation.
Well,
and we can see all the marbles that you're talking about. Those dark spots up. That's loose rubber. And he's still dropping back. As Ned said, his son Dale went by. Now Ricky Rudd moves up to challenge.
Rudd currently being shown in 5th position. Bodine is 4th. So it's Mark Martin leading the race. Kyle Petty is 2nd, and Kyle Petty is gaining on Mark Martin right now. And Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace have pulled away from Mark Martin. Mark doesn't seem to be running as fast right now as he was before they made those pit stops.
I think he's fallen behind the 26 car, Brett Bodine. He's probably a little faster, but I think that Brett has upset his timing, Ned. Okay. And he's running the same groove that Mark wants to run in, and it's very difficult to get under him up in the corner because he's in almost the same tracks he wants to be in.
To make a maximum speed lap, you got to have the whole racetrack.
Exactly.
Around here. You can't be shut out anywhere on it, or it'll affect your speed by a half to sometimes a couple of seconds.
And there Kyle Petty came into the frame. Yeah. You can see he's just a few car lengths behind Mark Martin.
Kyle Petty now in second position behind Mark Martin with 113 laps completed at Darlington. Stand by. We'll be back in a minute. Mark Martin leads Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett, Ken Schrader, and Ricky Rudd with 116 of 367 laps completed in the NASCAR Winston Cup Transouth Financial 500 from Darlington. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Fram Oil Filters. Fram, you can pay a little now or a lot later. And by McDonald's. What you want is what you get at McDonald's today. Well, here is the leader of the race, Mark Martin, very closely pursued by Kyle Petty. And the 26 car of Brett Bodine is running ahead of Mark Martin. He's a couple of laps behind, but he almost had an encounter here a few laps ago.
And we see Kyle on the inside of Mark Martin as they come off turn. And look at Kyle. He, again, is driving the car on the apron of the racetrack. Son, the track is up above you there somewhere. Man.
Well, John Kernan is down in Mark Martin's pit with Steve Meal.
Mark slowed down quite a bit out there. What happened out there with the 26 car?
I don't know. I couldn't see it. We hadn't slowed down. It takes us a while to get going after a tire stop. We knew the 3 and the 2 would be good. They're going to run their guts out, try to get their lap back. We're having a little trouble passing lap car, but it's just racing right now. Kyle's real good, and he's been real good. They caught a caution and got caught up. We'll be okay.
That's Steve Bill. You told me earlier something about the 26 car and Mark touching, and they were just making sure apparently that Mark's car was all right. But the car has been running really well all day. Remember, they thought about making a chassis adjustment on their last pit stop and then decided at the last moment not to. Mark is fairly pleased with the way the car is running on used tires, guys.
Well, to use Steve's words, here are the two guys that are racing their guts out. That is Dale Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace. They are still running in 13th and 14th positions. However, they are on the lead lap and well ahead of the leader, Mark Martin. There is Mark and Kyle Petty right behind, still unable to pass Brett Bodine, and we're watching from the camera mounted below Bodine's spoiler on the back.
That's the problem. Brett Bodine is running exactly the place that Mark wants to run. Brett goes in turn 1. He drifts up just a little bit, but not enough that Mark is able to get underneath him. And watch Kyle again as they come off turn 4. Now we didn't see him. He's a little bit too close to Brett. Kyle uses the apron of the racetrack in turn 4 like nobody else. Now watch Brett. He goes up just a little bit, but not enough room to get that Ford alongside of him. Now here comes Kyle, takes a look. Is he going to pass him? Try.
Yeah, Mark's going to let him. He figures maybe Kyle can get up there and make that pass, and he'll follow. Good, smart move by Mark Martin. I'll tell you, he is driving a very smart race. Look how low Kyle Petty running those turns compared to the others.
Well, that's the apron down there, Ned. He's not on the racetrack there. Man,
he likes it.
He's still looking out of the back of Brett Bodine's car. Now Kyle drives up alongside. He did get alongside. But Mark, come on, buddy, come on.
Well, now that the leader has passed him, Brett won't fight anymore because he was trying to stay out there hoping for a caution. But now that the leader's gone around, it didn't matter about the second place car.
So Mark's strategy worked perfectly there.
Yeah, sure did.
Letting Kyle Petty go by. Now he's got a problem.
Now he's got to pass Kyle Petty. That's right. That isn't where he wants to be. Because there are 5 bonus points for leading the most laps.
I think that's one reason Dale Earnhardt tried to lead as many as he could early in the race.
We talked about the momentum that Mark Martin has this season. Actually, he has been in the top 10 in his last 15 races dating back to last year.
You know, one of our spotters just pointed out something that's really interesting, Ned. All the cars on the lead lap are pitting on the front straightaway.
Well, that just points out the point that we made early at the open of the show, that it's a big disadvantage pitting on the backstretch. However, as John Kernan mentioned, there's not a big disadvantage as long as the race goes green.
And now we see Rusty Wallace, Dale Earnhardt racing each other, and I think this is for bragging rights.
It is for position, but I think it's more for bragging.
Exactly.
Well, they got to be careful and not use up those tires so much. They see Kyle Petty coming back there, and I'm sure that Rusty wants to get around Earnhardt. He figures he's a little faster right now. He knows Kyle Petty's going to be moving in on a hurry. However, he's still got quite a distance back to Kyle, but you can see it there on the screen. But their tires have been going away quicker than some of the others. So
yeah, both these guys have been pitting at exactly the same time in about 50 laps, where Mark Martin, some of the other guys, have been able to run 60 laps.
We're at lap 125 right now.
As the race wears on, tire wear will get a little bit better. So Earnhardt and Rusty might be able to stretch those stops from 50 laps to 70 laps, even 75 before the thing is over. And once again, Rusty gets position on Earnhardt down the back straightaway. Will Earnhardt back off, give him the position?
No way.
oh, he's back off. He's making Rusty use up his tires. Running on the inside, you'll use up more tires than you will running a little bit higher.
We have seen these two drivers race against each other so many times in the past. Kind of enjoy it, I think.
Oh, yeah, they're getting a kick out of it. No doubt about it. But I don't know how smart it is to be racing this hard, using up those tires. Here comes Rusty again. He's going to try him going into turn 3. Rusty, not going to. Yes, he is. By God, he fooled us. He did back off that time.
Made a liar
but
out of
watch
you,
Rusty go high. Earnhardt will try to get under it, but he can't do it this way.
Earnhardt's car pushes just a little bit too much to be able to turn the car and get under Rusty. Otherwise, he certainly would have tried it.
So the number 2 car of Wallace is now 13th, and Dale Earnhardt is 14th. Kyle Petty remains the leader here at Darlington. We'll be back in just a moment. The top 5 after 131 laps: Kyle Petty, Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett, Hut Strickland, and Ricky Rudd. And our thanks again to the Family Channel Blimp for providing the overheads. Now, at midnight tonight Eastern Time, join us for same-day delayed coverage of the Grand Prix of Brazil Formula One race. That event was held earlier today. And let me just say that it is one of the races that you will not forget. And Michael Andretti, the American participating in Formula One, had another misfortune. That's all we're going to say. But you won't want to miss it tonight at midnight Eastern Time. That's 9 o'clock on the West Coast. The Grand Prix of Brazil Formula One race from Sao Paulo, Brazil. And there, once again, is the egg-shaped layout of Darlington. And the Family Channel Blimp is lazily hovering overhead. Alan Burrows at the controls up there.
I think I'll get on a plane and fly to L.A. to watch that race. I can't stay up till midnight.
Set your tape recorder then. Let me see. If you left now, would you? There's Kyle. He's the leader.
And he is gaining on Dale Earnhardt. Rusty Wallace has driven away from Earnhardt since we saw their little battle a while back. But you can see how close Kyle Petty is coming to Dale Earnhardt, and that would put him a lap down. And Rusty Wallace knew that. That's why he raced Earnhardt so hard, to try to get him around, get around him, and so he could pull away from him.
I tell you what, I didn't realize Rusty had such a good race car, but he does have a very, very fast race car.
And again, for those of you just joining us, the reason that Earnhardt and Rusty Wallace are almost a lap behind is because they got caught with a yellow on a pit stop. We had a yellow because of a crash involving Jeff Gordon. They had just made their pit stops, and everybody else had not made a stop, so they almost went a lap down, and they're trying to stay on the lead lap. You can see that Kyle Petty began this race in 15th, is currently the leader. And again, we emphasize that the race was started according to point standings because the qualifying was rained out on Friday and Saturday.
You see him go down and hit that apron again?
Yep, he sure does. He just drives it right down there, doesn't he?
Scares me to death every time he does that.
I think the first thing that I noticed about Darlington when I came here many years ago is how wide the racetrack is, but there's only about 15 feet of it that you can use.
I guess when they ran those 50 Plymouth year, they ran on the bottom of the racetrack down where it's flat.
Yeah, that's too big to run in that groove.
There's our leader, Kyle Petty, the metal yellow Pontiac. Second place car. Valvoline Ford and Mark Martin. Brett Bodine, the Quaker State Ford. He's a lap or two down.
And behind him is Dale Jarrett, who is having another good run. The Interstate Battery Chevrolet, he's a solid third at the moment.
And this is the best run that Hut Strickland's had all year in the McDonald's Ford.
Well, just last that, he almost drives it into the wall.
I don't think that car likes that camera.
He's fourth. Ken Schrader, Bill Elliott, and Ricky Rudd are running together.
Except Elliott's a lap down.
And so is Ernie Irvin.
As a matter of fact, Bill Elliott might be 2 laps down. Check the score. Indeed, he is 2 laps down. In the Budweiser Ford, the winner here last year. He is being shown in
Ernie Irvin is
position.
Irvin is 15th, 1 lap down. There is Morgan Shepherd in the 21, followed by Jeff Bodine.
Jeff Bodine has survived that crash against the wall up in 3 and 4.
Ready to drop back to 8th, Vinny.
Yep, Terry Labonte, the Kellogg's Cornflake Chevrolet. There's Sterling Marlin, the Rebestis Ford, number 8.
Track record is still in jeopardy here as we're running above it right now with only 1 caution so far. There, Labonte goes to the inside of Bodine. As Benny reminded you, Bodine hit the wall several laps ago and just has not been on the same pace as before. Michael Waltrip in car number 30 is shown in the 25th position. He's 2 laps down.
And there's his older brother, Darrell Waltrip, the Western Auto Chevrolet, followed by Alan Kawicki and Ted Musgrave. Kawicki, the Hooters Ford, Ted Musgrave, the Jasper Engine U.S. Air Ford.
He is running 17th. Ted Musgrave is.
And there's Bobby Hamilton, the Country Time Ford.
He's 68. He's 18th.
There goes Dick Trickle.
Yep.
Haven't seen much of Dick today, but he's been out there running. He's currently being shown in 19th position. Just 1 lap behind.
Carolina Pottery Ford. Dave Marcus and Wally Dallenbach. Dallenbach, the Keystone Beer Ford. I see Marcus has his sponsor on his car. He was trying to get me to sponsor his car yesterday, so that must have been something that popped up this morning.
How come you didn't? Spend a little bit of that money you make.
Yeah, right.
Come on.
He's in 26th position. That's Dave Marcus we were talking about.
28 car of Davey Allison has now moved to 12th.
We saw Rick Wilson, the SDP Pontiac, right in front of Davey, and there's the Bojangles car driven by Derek Coban. Now pass for the lead.
Mark Martin.
Steve Mills said that car gets better.
Here comes Kyle back.
On the straightaway, they come at the line side by side, and Kyle on the inside is not going to be able to take the lead back as Martin holds him off.
Man.
But it brought the crowd to its feet again as everybody is up and cheering either for Kyle to take the lead or for Mark to hold it.
Got me excited.
All right, let's go back to where we dropped off. We showed you that little piece of excitement. Now we go back to Rick Mast in the Skoll car, number 1, the Skoll Classic, and the 40 car driven by Kenny Wallace.
Rick Mast is in 21st place, 1 lap behind, and the 40 car is in 28th position. He is 2 laps behind.
We showed you Bobby Labonte in the Maxwell House Ford Thunderbird, another Max Race Car Rookie Challenger. He and Kenny Wallace both, and Jeff Gordon.
But again, Gordon is out of the race, having crashed earlier. There's the 12 car, driven by Jimmy Spencer.
He is in 22nd position.
And that completes all the cars that are still out there on the racetrack. We're back to Rusty Wallace, who is 13th.
We started with a leader, so we got to go back.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
We got to go back to Dale Earnhardt.
Well,
now we've got all the cars.
And there was a car in between, and that's the 57 car of Bob Schacht, who is still out there.
The Pronto Auto Parts automobile.
Now, we talked about the lead cars catching Dale Earnhardt a little bit ago before we started this run around the track to pick up all the drivers. Earnhardt is maintaining. In fact, he might be pulling away from Mark Martin a little bit as Michael Walter comes in the Pennzoil Pontiac. He has been coming in a little bit earlier than most of the rest of them. Jerry, is he having a heating problem too?
I think they reported on the radio a minute ago that Michael had an overheating problem, showing some temperature. As they're putting tires on the car, we can see water pouring out the overflow. The front grille, as he is down and away, the front grille of that Pontiac was totally plugged with pieces of rubber, chunks of rubber, took a wire brush and opened it up. But there's a crew member standing on pit road, and there's a steaming puddle of water where the car was sitting here as water was coming out the overflow of the radiator.
Waltrip has completed the visit to pit road. There's the puddle that Jerry's talking about. Michael is back out on the racetrack, and the action continues here in the Transouth Financial 500, being led by number 6, Mark Martin. We'll be right back. Again, here's an interval leaderboard showing that Mark Martin has a .61 second lead over Kyle. Dale is about 3.3 seconds behind. Strickland is 7 3/4 seconds behind, and Ricky Rudd is a little over 9 1/4 seconds behind.
Probably ought to start saying Dale Jarrett instead of Dale.
Too many Dales racing.
Yeah, it could be confusing to some people. No, of course, now I understand when you say Dale. I don't know what you're talking about.
There's that guy we're talking about.
There's Jarrett right there.
And he's got a boss now that's a full-time boss instead of a part-time boss.
That's right.
How about that, Jerry?
Gibbs retired from football coaching.
I thought that was the smartest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That was a shock to me, but maybe it'll be good for the race team. Let's hope so. There's second place, Kyle. There's the leader, Martin, down between turns 1 and 2.
Martin has pulled away from Kyle since he made that pass, and only about, you can see Earnhardt right there he is. He's not too far ahead from going a lap down. He's being shown in the 14th position.
Here's another Autolite field summary for you. Watch for your favorite driver to see where he's running at the moment. 14 cars on the lead lap. Earnhardt is the last car on the lead lap and not too far ahead of Martin.
He's a little nervous. Bobby Hillin, James Hilton, Phil Parsons broke a camshaft, Harry Gant, Mike Potter, and Warren Bennett, all those cars out of competition. Comes Earnhardt, and here comes Martin, our leader.
Martin is now within about 7 or 8 car lengths. Putting a lap on Dale.
Now Earnhardt is coming up, he and Rusty Wallace both on the times that they hit. They've been running about 50 laps before, so he should be coming in before too long for a pit stop.
This is from the 21 car of Morgan Shepherd, and he is definitely having problems out there.
Yeah, that engine is not turning up.
Yeah.
Nothing like it was earlier. About 8,000 is the maximum. John, what's going on with that sit-go forward?
Well, Ned, the engine has developed a miss. I just talked to Eddie Wood. He said they've already switched over to a new ignition box. That did not help it. So as soon as they pit, they will go underneath, open the hood, and check the coil wire and change the coil. They hope that that will fix it. If not, it could be something else, possibly the carburetor.
So Morgan Shepherd, who ran strong in the early going, is dropping back.
Looks like he's dropping into the pits.
Won the race last week. Michael Waltrip just made another pit stop. Ernie Irvin was just in for a pit stop. Now Jeff Bodine comes in the Motorcraft Ford, as will he slides that car into the pits. And you can see the damage on the right side of the car where he had gotten into the wall a little bit earlier.
Bill Thomas with a gas can. Put in fuel in that automobile. Danny Fowler comes around, puts the jack under.
Here's Mark Martin moving on the inside of Dale Earnhardt. How many times have we seen that today when it was for the lead, not for him to put a lap on it?
Now he's trying to put a lap on Dale Earnhardt. Hut Strickland is on pit road. The 15 car back out on the racetrack. Tire change completed on the right side of McDonald's Ford.
We can see he's hit the wall. They're pulling a quarter pound away from that right rear.
Well, that happened up there in 1 and 2, remember?
Exactly. He brushed the wall up in 1 and 2.
And Mark Martin up on the inside of Dale Earnhardt again, but still couldn't make the pass as we see the 27 car of Strickland going back out. Dale Jarrett about to take over second place from Kyle Petty going into turn 3. Now Martin has dropped back behind Dale Earnhardt. Pitting on the backstretch. We'll see a lot of pit stops coming up here in the next 10 minutes. Marlin is in and Ray Best is forward.
Dale Jarrett has gone into second position. Sterling Marlin has completed his pit stop.
Tell you what, Sterling Marlin having a good run today. He is. Jeff Gordon goes back on the racetrack. A little Band-Aid on the back of that thing, but I tell you what, they've straightened it out pretty well.
Yeah, they sure have. Yep, that thing was all caved in.
But Eddie Dickerson and the boys at Frame Buildup can put a new rear clip on that car tomorrow. That's for sure.
Davey Allison coming in for a pit stop as Mark Martin tries once again to put a lap on Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt running a little farther than he has in these other green flag runs, Bob.
Martin nearly alongside there in the second turn, but as they come off the corner, Earnhardt continues to hold him off. And Davey Allison is now on pit road. There's a little bit of steam coming out of the right front of that car as they go to work. The pit crew goes to work on the left side and the change of tires. Pretty quick pit stop.
Davis' car is pushing. We saw the man go to the right rear and take a rounded wedge out of the right rear of that car as Davey goes back on the speedway. And there goes the leaders. They are
goes high. Mark tries to get up into there, but those tires are hot and worn. He just can't get traction, and he's not going to take any major chance.
You know, we could just take a lap here with these guys and send all our cameramen home.
Here's Terry Labonte in the Kellogg cornflake car.
He was running in seventh when he came in for the pit stop. Jerry, can you see this?
Yes, we can, Bob. Chevrolet Aluminum getting service on the right side tires and the left side tires. We are right adjacent to his pits where they're servicing Terry Labonte's car, 1984 Winston Cup Series champion. As he gets service completed, here is Kyle Petty in and down pit road. As Terry Labonte leaves, the mellow yellow Pontiac of Kyle Petty pulls in to a halt. They will change all four tires on this car that was running in second position. Kyle Petty squirting himself with water inside the car. Masters of the pit stop. One of the crews had told me they might be able to do it in under 18 seconds, maybe even close to 16 today. Left side lug nuts on. 18.7 seconds. A very, very good pit stop, and Kyle is away.
Just a tick over 18 seconds, but a great stop for Kyle Petty. And Brett Bodine comes out right behind Kyle.
Well, I tell you, those two cars were running together right on the racetrack. So Kyle Petty had an 18-second pit stop. Leads me to believe that the 26 car had an 18-second pit stop.
They came down pit road together. Dale Jarrett, well, I thought he was coming in the pit, but Rusty Wallace is coming in right now for sure.
And we're riding with him as he comes down and hits the marks. And the crew goes to work on Rusty Wallace's Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac.
Man, really doing a good job pinning the windshield, trying to. It's going to be the sun is out today. They want to make sure that Rusty will be able to see this afternoon to see that wall going down in turn one, because later he'll be turning right into the sun down in turn one.
A little bit of delay on the left rear of the car that made the stop 19.5 seconds, or they had about a 17.8-second pit stop going.
Here comes Dale Jarrett down pit road. These cars running in second place, making his pit stop. The Interstate Battery automobile, and then does Joe Gibbs, one of his sons, change tires on that car?
J.D. Gibbs does change the left side tires. Graduated from college last year and is working in the business end of Joe Gibbs Racing. Let's go to the pits. John Kernan.
Well, man, DJ is in for a 4-tire change. They're also going to add 1 round of wedge. And there you can see the crewman going to the right rear of the car, making that chassis adjustment. Left side coming on. Mark Martin is down. Your leader headed down pit road. Coming down pit road, there's a tire out in the middle of pit road. Dale Jarrett's work is done in 22.4 seconds. Mark Martin will pull into the pits. Watch Steve Hill and the crew go to work. Neil working on that right front tire. Once again, scraping off all the rubber off the grill, trying to keep the car from overheating. Mark running very well today. They will make a chassis adjustment. 1 round of wedge out of the right rear. We've been telling you. Dale Earnhardt also coming down pit road. And left side's going on now. Earnhardt is coming out. Martin 19.8 seconds as he heads down pit road.
So if he did a 19.8, I think it's me to believe that Dale Earnhardt had a 19-second pit stop, because he did beat the 6-car Mark Martin out of the pits.
And there is the leader of the race right now, Ken Schrader, who has yet to make a pit stop. We'll be back with more live coverage from Darlington Raceway in just a moment. at Darlington Raceway in the Transouth Financial 500. We're watching Dale Earnhardt. Now, he's not the leader of the race. He is in 15th position. However, he still is on the lead lap, and he gained on the pit stop because he has now that much track between himself and Mark Martin. They were nose to tail before they came into the pits.
But he didn't gain that much, Bob, in the pits. Mark Martin was a little slow going out of the pits. It took him until he got into turn 3 to get his speed up, and Earnhardt was just taking off going up the backstretch. Don't know if he had a problem or what it was, but in fact, I thought something was wrong with his car, and all of a sudden he did pick up and got going pretty good.
Here's a battle for position between Sterling Marlin, Dale Jarrett,
Hut Strickland and Ricky Rudd.
Well, both Hut Strickland and Sterling Marlin beat Dale Jarrett in the pits. They got ahead of him. Now he has to run them down and try to make that up.
And Jerry Punch talked about at the top of the show just how this year has been a battle of pit stops. And it's down to the 18, 19-second bracket. If you can't make those 19-second pit stop, you're going to lose position. We saw Dale Jarrett. What was his stop? About 22, 23 seconds.
Yep.
He's back racing with these guys for 4th, 5th position.
I think it also emphasizes the fact that racing is a team sport. It's not only driver, it's not only the guy who sets up the car, it's not the guy necessarily that builds the engine. It's a combination of everybody doing his job and doing it well.
And there's about 12 or 14 of them in the pits, and it depends on all those guys, all 12 or 14 doing their job. The guy that cleans the grill, that gets all that rubber out of the grill. What if he doesn't get it out good? Then they go back out, the car's overheat.
The guy that holds the sign to make sure that he stops within the assigned area and doesn't have to push or back the car up.
Because the jack, they've got a spot picked out. They're going to put the jack on the car. If he doesn't stop the right place, then that just blows the whole pit stop.
Ted Musgrave has come on to pit road for an unscheduled stop as we continue to watch the action on the racetrack with Dale Jarrett running in 4th position. Right behind Sterling Marlin, who is 3rd.
That's Dick Trickle right in front of that group of cars.
Trickle is being shown in the 19th position.
Sterling goes down, tries to get position on Trickle going in turn 1. Can't quite make it. Trickle moves up the racetrack. Now Sterling has room if he can make the pass.
He does.
Yep. Now Jarrett will hook onto his rear spoiler, as will Ricky Rudd.
Trying to go back.
Yep.
Bobby Hamilton back there went around Trickle as well.
And we continue to update you on the Ted Musgrave situation. The Jasper Engines US Air car is behind the wall.
They raised the hood on it on pit road, Bob, and apparently whatever the problem is, they were not able to fix it, so they are pushing it behind the wall.
We've only had one caution today. That was for the accident involving Jeff Gordon, and he is back on the racetrack. We're inside Morgan Shepherd's car now. Now let's watch the RPMs, because last time we were inside the car and watched the telemetry, we discovered that he had an engine problem.
No, he still got problems. He only turned 7,500 down the front straightaway, and his car should turn 82, 8,300. So he's off 700, 800 RPMs. 76, 77. Well, we saw 79 down the front that time, but we did see 8,400 once before down the front.
You see the big head of an eagle there on the right side of your screen on the dashboard. They've got it on the front of the car also, and it's in line with a new promotion from Citco. John, what do you got for us?
Well, Bob, I don't think I was clear earlier when I told you what was wrong with Morgan's car. The engine had developed a miss, and they'd already switched ignition boxes, which Morgan can do inside the race car. I said that when they pitted, they were going to pop the hood and check the coil wire and change coils. What I meant to say, and I apologize, is if they got to pit under caution. They're still in the lead lap, and they didn't want to lose a lap. They're trying to wait for a caution, then they hope they can get the problem fixed. So I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you very much. Yeah, he is still in the lead lap. He's running 10th, as a matter of fact. Here's the 18th car again. Somebody see some smoke from that car up there? You see it, Ned?
Some of our spotters were talking about some smoke, but
looks okay there. I don't know. He's running pretty quick. He got around Sterling Marlin, who's driven away from him. Now moves on the inside of
Ernie Irvin. We're 2 miles an hour faster than the record, so we're on record pace here as we approach the halfway mark. 176 laps are down.
There's our leader, Mark Martin of Abilene Ford. And, you know, Ned, speaking of smoke, someone brought up a point to me a couple of weeks ago. The tires don't smoke anymore. You notice that? We don't see any smoke off the tires. You know, when the right front pushes, it does the smoke in the right rear. So I said, you know, that's a good point, and that's correct. We see the cars smoke here all the time. I asked the Goodyear engineers why the tires don't smoke. They don't know.
They just don't slide as much for one thing.
Huh?
They don't slide as much for one thing.
Exactly. Oh, there's a blown engine, and the caution flag is out.
Jimmy Means. Yep, Means. Big puff of smoke. This is how they were running when the caution came out.
Is Earnhardt going to get his lap back?
Oh, yeah, he was out in front of, wasn't he? Out in front of Mark Martin.
I think they're really back to the line
they're
now.
racing back. They indeed are, Benny. They're racing back to the line, and Earnhardt is going to beat Mark Martin back to the line.
Rusty gets his lap back. Here comes Earnhardt. He gets a lap back.
Actually, they're still on the lead lap, but they now get to go around the whole racetrack and join in the line.
Exactly. Well, I hate to see Jimmy Means have problems. He had the Hurley limo sponsorship on there, and he also has some sponsorship from Race Fans Incorporated, and trying to make a good showing for those people.
He brought 2 cars to the track this weekend, put another one with Mike Potter in the field. That car is already out of the race. The NASCAR officials, as you can see, are checking here along the main straightaway with the caution out to see if any oil was laid down by Jimmy Means. So we could have a cleanup here. Could have a cleanup here as the pace car has picked up the field. Pit road is open, and we now see Mark Martin, Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett, and others that are on the lead lap come in for another pit stop.
Ricky Rudd and Sterling Marlin, Hutch Strickland, Ken Schrader, all of those cars on the lead lap coming in. Let's go to the pits and Jerry Punch.
And although it's under caution, gentlemen, it's a matter of pride and track position to get these cars out in a hurry. Kyle Petty, the mellow yellow team, working on that car. Right side tires already on. 6 on the top of your screen. That's the Valvoline Ford 42. Kyle Petty's Pontiac on the bottom. Watching Steve Mill and the crew work on the Valvoline Ford. Now left side tires are on Kyle Petty's mellow yellow Pontiac. Little trouble in the left rear. Car number 6 still up as Kyle Petty is down pit road. And here is Mark Martin down pit road. And they will head back toward turn 1.
And a race out of the pits between Ricky Rudd and Kyle Petty.
I'll tell you, Ricky Rudd's crew is making some fantastic pit stops today. We haven't seen a ton of that much, but he has beaten a lot of people out of pits every time.
I think they may have had the fastest stop among all those. There's Dale Earnhardt going back out. Alan Kulwicki under caution here at Darlington. We'll take a break and be back with more after this. Well, here's something else that you can see while you're in the area of Darlington attending the races. This is a statue of Francis Marion, which was built last year on the campus of Francis Marion University. Now, this guy was known as you'll see in just a moment as we see his face, the Swamp Fox.
I can understand why.
Great Revolutionary War hero of this area, Francis Marion. Mark Martin is the man of the hour, maybe of the day. He's leading this Winston Cup race here at Darlington today by just almost a half a straightaway now on Kyle Petty.
Yeah, he's pulling away. Boy, I'll tell you, that Ford is fast today.
You just did an interval a moment ago. What was it?
I sent it downstairs. Oh, here it is. Yeah, okay. It's almost 2 seconds, as a matter of fact, the interval between first and second position.
There we see him go by Jeff Gordon. There's the interval.
That's what I did. 1.93 between first and second. Jarrett is 4.1 seconds behind. Marlin is 4.4, and Schrader 5.1.
Now, folks, I want you to understand that this is no marvelous thing that Jenkins did. He punched a button 5 times.
Well, at least I know how to do it.
Well, yeah.
You?
No, I don't. But that was pretty impressive.
Thank you.
It's not anything you figured up in your head.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It didn't take any addition or subtraction, or I'd be in trouble. Here's Marlin, Schrader, and Dale Earnhardt. And Earnhardt still running right up against the fence, and this is a battle for position. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th, and Dale Jarrett is right ahead of the trio.
Look, Earnhardt ran on the apron going in turn 3 instead of coming off the corner.
That thing almost looks like a Bristol car, doesn't it? The way it's all banged up and scraped up.
Ever see Dale Jarrett? Looks like Dale's off the pace a little bit, Ned.
Well, he's not running as fast as he was before. I don't know if that chassis adjustment they made during the pit stop maybe hurt him a little bit or what, Danny. But after the car runs several laps, it seems to pick up and or doesn't lose as much speed as some of the others. But Earnhardt is coming on, though. Let's go to the pits and John Kernan for an update there.
Well, Ned, it was no serious problem. You recall these guys were talking about maybe a little smoke from Dale Jarrett's car earlier before that last pit stop. Well, what happened? The left front fender was pushing on the tires, so Jimmy Makar and the crew had to pull that away. They say they got the car fixed. Everything's okay right now. Dale's just riding around, enjoying this Sunday afternoon drive.
Earnhardt up against the fence again.
Now, he has pulled away from Rusty Wallace. We saw them battling a little bit earlier. Earnhardt is 15 car lengths ahead of Rusty Wallace.
And just a little bit ago, it was the other way around. Rusty was a better race car than Earnhardt. So evidently, the changes they're making are working for Earnhardt because he passes Sterling Marlin to take over 4th place.
Boy, Earnhardt still has a lot of fans because they all just rose to their feet and waved their hats and handkerchiefs and whatever when Dale took that position away from Sterling.
And said, go. And they're all now waving, go, go, go.
Mark Martin continues to pull away from Kyle Petty as the others begin to close in on these. Earnhardt, Jarrett, and all of those are closing in on Kyle Petty right now. He's just to the left there.
Dick Trickle, black flag by NASCAR.
Yeah, he just went to pits not too long ago, didn't he? A little oil or what the deal is, but Trickle, the Carolina Potteries car. Ford it is now. Here's Jarrett going around Kyle Petty on the inside. You can see the 2 green and black cars there, and Earnhardt right there on Kyle Petty. That moves Jarrett into 2nd place.
Yeah, and
Ernie
here comes
Irvin there in the Kodak Film Chevrolet is a lap behind.
And Kyle, all of a sudden, his car is just off the pace badly, Ned.
Yeah, I don't know if the chassis, the tires have gone away or just exactly what it is.
Kyle Petty beginning to drop back, but after a 31st place finish at Daytona and a 32nd at Rockingham, he's been 5th at Richmond, 7th at Atlanta, currently struggling but still very much in the hunt.
Look at Earnhardt up there on the outside making a move on Dale Jarrett. He got a good run off that turn. Now it goes to the inside. Jarrett will back off and let it go. He won't know what he's going into that turn.
That's for 2nd place. Takes over the 2nd spot.
Earnhardt is marching toward the front.
So it looks like whatever changes they've made are working great.
Here's the Western Auto race summary. Mark has led 105 of the 200 laps. We have 14 cars on the lead lap, 11 leaders and 16 changes. Only 2 caution periods for a total of 10, and the average speed of the race is 138.10 miles an hour. Those that have led include Martin, Earnhardt, Petty, Waltrip, Kulwicki, Schrader, Jeff Bodine, Terry Labonte. Jeff Gordon led a lap. So did Dale Jarrett and Ricky Rudd.
Hey, that's pretty neat where it shows how many laps they led.
Yep. Here are the cars that are out of the race, including Harry Gant, Bill Parsons, Michael Waltrip, and Kenny Wallace. Now the Mechanic of the Year standings as we enter this 5th race of the year. Andy Petrie is atop the standings with 273 points. Tony Glover 2nd, then Steve Meal, Donnie Wingo, and Ray Everham. There is Kyle Petty. We mentioned how he may be slipping back. Jerry, have you been able to determine what the problem is?
Bob, listening with the crew here, apparently Kyle has commented that the car is just too tight and will not turn in the corners. He can't get in the corners hard because he's afraid the car won't turn. If it doesn't turn at Darlington, there's only one thing to stop you. That's the concrete. They don't want that to happen. They'll bide their time, try to stay in the top 5 or 10, and hopefully maybe get a caution flag to adjust that car on the next pit stop. Let's check in further down pit road with John Kernan.
Well, Jerry, we're commenting about Mark Martin now. He's just seemingly running away from everyone. We were also talking about the adjustments Earnhardt made to his car. Earnhardt's crew did. Well, Mark Martin's crew loosened that car up, took a round of wedge out of it. Apparently, that car is really hooked up. But remember, he was running really well on worn tires. We'll see if this adjustment continues to run as well whenever he does wear down his tires a little bit more.
We're past the 200 lap mark. 367 laps complete this race. So far, it's been pretty much dominated by Mark Martin. He has the lead currently over Dale Earnhardt. Transouth Financial 500 from Darlington Raceway. Live coverage here on ESPN. Here's a battle for position as Rusty Wallace has taken over third from Dale Jarrett.
You mentioned a moment ago, Benny, that Dale Jarrett's car doesn't seem to be running quite as good as it was. He's had a little bit of a push today, and the skies are overcast right now. And when the sun's out, he runs faster, but now that it's overcast, that hurts the pushing situation, makes him push even more. They mentioned in the pits that Mark Martin had taken a round wedge out of his car. That is making him take off now during this overcast condition.
Rusty Wallace has moved to third position. Let's take a lap from him, and then we'll go 1,000 feet above and watch him from the family circle blimp.
Here's Rusty. Oh, and Jimmy Spencer's in the wall, and Bobby Labonte spins down in turn 1 and 2. And then we see him waving, the NASCAR officials waving, the caution flag is out.
Jimmy Spencer has made contact with the inside wall.
Oh, man, he's
really
pretty heavy contact with that right side.
Yep.
Well, he's had a tough weekend here. Tore up a car yesterday in practice.
And then that car he tore up yesterday looks almost identical to that
sure
car.
does. The right side was the damaged part yesterday, and so it is today. Here it is. Watch Labonte spin after Spencer had gotten into the wall.
I don't really know what happened there. I can't imagine what...
I believe Spencer might have hit the wall and came back and hit Labonte just a little bit and got him loose and spun him around.
And then I believe he came down and hit the wall there on the inside, too.
Looked that way.
He's driving it back to the pits.
Well, this is our third caution of the day and our second accident. The first accident involved Jeff Gordon. He's back out on the racetrack, and Jimmy Spencer is already lowering the netting on the side of the car and ready to get out, it looks like.
That's the signal, Bob, for the drivers to tell NASCAR they're okay. That's to tell the safety workers around the racetrack that they're okay.
And behind him, he has a line of cars ready to come in for pit service. Those on the lead lap are coming in on lap 216. Martin, Earnhardt, Jarrett, Wallace, Petty, and others. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's in Dale Earnhardt's pit.
Well, the second, third, and fifth place cars pitting up my end of pit road. Dale Earnhardt's Goodrich Chevrolet getting service. Rusty Wallace behind him getting service. You're watching the car number 6, the Valvoline Ford, getting service on top of your screen. Steve Milne and the crew. That's the leader in the second place car. The Goodrich Chevrolet already left side tires on Earnhardt's car. He is off the jack. Now he's off the jack, and they will race back toward turn 1. And looks like Earnhardt will win the battle back to turn 1.
Martin second, Wallace, then Jarrett, or Petty and Jarrett.
Man, I'm telling you this stuff. You know, they've got that pit road speed, but it's still very, very exciting to watch these guys race out of the pits and down pit road. Man. One more time.
The race off of pit road. There comes Earnhardt pulling out.
And Rusty Wallace and Kyle Petty. Meanwhile, here comes Mark Martin. Almost drives in the side and just blocks the 2 car from getting by him.
Just like a football player through a block. And now those that are not on the lead lap will be able to come in for pit service. And while they get the service, we're going to take another break so we can bring you as much green flag racing as possible here at the Transouth Financial 500. Stay with us. Back at Darlington, where pit stops continue, here's Morgan Shepherd getting some fresh rubber on that car.
And when he came in the pits, he slid through the pits. See the white line right up in front of the car? He slid by that as he came to a stop. The NASCAR officials made him back up before they started changing the tires.
And also on pit road, just behind Morgan Shepherd, is Hud Strickland, and he has been in his second time. They've got the hood up on that car, and looks like it's an overheating problem.
As a matter of fact, Bob, he was in when the caution came out, so he has gone off the lead lap. Hud Strickland having some problems here with the McDonald's Ford.
And that's too bad, because he was in the top 10, well within the top 10, and having a very good run. But Strickland right now is on pit road. We continue to be under caution for the third time because of an accident up in turn number 2, so we'll take another break. There's another great shot from about 1,000 feet above Darlington Raceway from the family channel blimp. This thing is 132 feet in length. It can accommodate up to 4 passengers along with the pilot. I'm not about to be one of the passengers, though.
Me either.
And it's on a goodwill tour in '93, making a number of appearances at major sporting events. And we welcome the Family Channel blimp to our coverage of Darlington. With the green flag waving on lap number 221, we are back to racing, and Dale Earnhardt is now the leader.
And Ernie Irvin is going to try hard to get his lap back. Mark Martin had to fall in behind. Now he's trying to go by on the outside of Irvin, and he might have that pass made. He does, man.
Irvin's car was running good before the caution came out. Not as good as Mark Martin, but he was running as good as Dale Earnhardt. We've mentioned some drivers that have stayed out there and led a lap. Davey Allison did on this last caution. He stayed out there and led a lap, got the 5 bonus points, and I believe Morgan Shepherd did as well in the sit-go forward. So those drivers thinking about those points, get those 5 bonus points for leading a lap.
Excuse me, Bob, and Earnhardt got a 15-20 car length advantage on Mark Martin. But again, we've seen that all day. When the tires are fresh, he really blasts up. And about 15-20 laps, they're about even. And after 20-25 laps, it looks like Mark Martin has a superior car. Let's see if things play the same way again.
The Jasper Engines US Air 4, driven by Ted Musgrave, is back in the race, and Jerry Punch is with Jimmy Spencer.
Jimmy has climbed down to the Montague mufflers forward, and Jimmy, the car pretty heavily damaged. What happened out there?
Our car really wasn't running that well, you know, and it was pretty tight all day, and we busted the right front tire down. It was our fault because the car was pushing, never could get it right. I just feel bad for my guys, you know. We've really been missing the setups lately, and I think we're going to forget about the points and start racing again. That's what we got to start doing. That's what we did last fall, and we really ran well, and that's what we're going to start doing next week. Forget the points, take each race, and go for it.
This is the car you tested so well at Bristol last week and was flying, I was told.
Jerry, I'll tell you something. I love Bristol, and I was looking forward to it. I'll be back, and these guys aren't going to give up. I'm really sorry what happened for them today, and you know, next Friday, I'm sorry, it's not Saturday night, there you go. So next Sunday at Bristol, we'll be there, and we're going to be strong.
Jimmy Spencer looking for Bristol next Sunday. You'll see it on ESPN, guys.
He was 11th in the point standings coming in, and he brings up a very interesting subject that is kind of being talked about a lot in the Winston Cup garage area, and that is how much emphasis is being placed on the championship rather than the individual races.
I agree wholeheartedly, and it's a concern that these guys, if they get up second, third, fourth, and say, hey, I got a good solid position, you know, why should I go for the win? And the points championship, the Winston Cup, is becoming worth more than the races themselves.
$1.5 million at the end. So yeah, you pick up every point, every opportunity that you get.
Kyle Petty and Rusty Wallace are back running right together.
In fact, Kyle just passed Rusty a couple of laps ago, so he has the Mellow Yellow Pontiac on the go again. There, Kyle is in third, Rusty is fourth.
So they must have been able to fix that pushing problem that he was complaining about. Well, at least they fix it on the fresh tires. We'll see what happens when the tires get a few laps on them.
We'll take a lap with Rusty.
On that steering wheel. Going in turn 3, he'll tap the brake, drive down to the bottom of the racetrack, let it drift up. Now he tries to get inside Kyle Petty. Not able to do it. Off turn 4.
Now let's go 1,000 feet into the air in the Family Channel blimp and see how his line looks from that perspective. Now we'll refocus on Kyle and do it just a little bit. Rusty.
Everybody's getting a blimp, aren't they? Shamu's got one.
Yeah.
And Goodyear has one. And
you ever ridden in a blimp?
No. Do I want to ride in a blimp? No.
I did once. Do I want to do it again?
No.
No.
I didn't think so.
Guys, there's one fellow out here we haven't said much about today, but Wally Dallenbach is right behind Kyle Petty, Rusty Wallace, and Dale Jarrett. He is hanging right with them now. He's being shown in 16th position. He is a couple of laps down, and he has that Ford running right now.
This is the team car to Mark Martin. I say a team car. They're both owned by Jack Roush, both based in Liberty, North Carolina at Roush Racing. Howard Comstock, the crew chief on the 16 car. Steve Neal is the crew chief on the 6 car.
And Danny, just what you were talking about earlier on new tires, Dale Earnhardt took off. Well, that lead has evaporated now because Mark Martin has caught it.
Yep. Now they'll run this way for about 10, 15 more laps, and then Martin will start putting a lot of pressure on Dale.
In the last 5, well, here's a battle for, no, it isn't a battle for position. It's just that Ken Schrader is passing Wally Dallenbach, and Dallenbach, as Ned just pointed out, having a great run.
There we see the Jeff Bodine car. You know, Jeff Bodine's car just hasn't been that strong since he brushed the wall up in 3 and 4.
Right. That was, that was quite a while ago. Here's another Fram field summary for you, showing you where the drivers were running last lap. Not 5 laps ago, not 4 laps ago.
You see, we have 13 cars still on the lead lap.
We see the 2 winners last year, Darrell Waltrip and Bill Elliott, both 2 laps down. So neither of those cars will repeat in 1993.
Unless we have a lot of strange things happen from here on out. Of course, this place has been some strange things happen.
There's Earnhardt, the leader, and Mark Martin running second. In the last 5 Transouth 500s, Martin's finished 6th, 4th, 2nd, 4th, 3rd. He's second today and has led most of the race. We'll be right back to Darlington.
The intensity of NASCAR inspection has mandated an increased attention to detail during construction of a Winston Cup race car. One example of that is this template, which is marked with ribbon strips down along the margin. Blue, green, and even red in some spots. Now, what the strips indicate are areas of tolerance allowed by NASCAR during inspection. The teams are also provided with this tolerance gauge. As you'll see, it's marked green for 1/2 inch, blue for 1/4 inch, and even red for 70 thousandths of an inch. To use the gauge, it's quite simple. You find an area corresponding to the color of tape. Here it's red. Slide the red portion beneath. If it goes completely beneath the template, then there's too much tolerance. You must build up the area of the race car so that the gauge will not slide beneath the template. So red for the rear of the trunk, blue across the top, and 1/2 inch, and that's all for along the windshields back and front. That's how specific NASCAR Winston Cup racing has become over the last few years.
Boy, they watch them close, don't they?
Boy, they really do. Gary Nelson has implemented said all bodies are going to be the same. They're going to be, as Jerry Punch just pointed out. That's all you're allowed at those specific areas.
Were they that strict when you were racing, Ned?
Well, we thought they were strict, but we didn't have that kind of measuring tools.
Didn't even have templates back then.
What was that? No, we didn't know what they were.
No. And the Jasper engine U.S. Air car of Ted Musgrave has went behind the wall.
And so as Hut Strickland, or is about to. They're pushing the car back and going to take it to the garage area.
Yeah, he did have a great run going here today before he started having his problems.
There's the interval between first and second, Earnhardt and Mark Martin.
Earnhardt seems to widen it out a little bit. Mark had closed in there earlier.
Well, they ran across some traffic coming off the second corner, and I don't know if that's the reason that he got such an advantage on Mark, or if Mark has a problem.
These three continue to run very closely, and they are battling for. Ooh, I think there was a little contact there. Jarrett and Petty and Schrader.
Yeah, Kyle slowed down a little bit more, I think, than Dale Jarrett thought he was going to going into the turn. Kyle was going to let him go, and they bumped a little bit. Now Kyle moves to the inside and lets Ken Schrader going by. So Jarrett takes over fourth. Ken Schrader now running the best I've seen him run today is in 5th place. He has come right on up through there in the Kodiak Chevrolet. First time we've shown him in the top 5, at least during green flag running.
And another Rick Henry car, the Ricky Rudd machine, is in the 10th position, also on the lead lap. And of course, Jeff Gordon was running in 3rd position when he crashed very early in the race, but he is still out there. And let me see where I can. Yeah, he's in 30th position. Jarrett and Schrader.
Of course, the engines in Dale Jarrett's car are built by Hendrick Motorsports, so probably not a lot of difference in the engines. Those two cars we're seeing right now. Rick Wetzel is the guy who heads up the building of the 18 engines. And I believe the B&R do the engines for.
Yeah, Kenny Bingham and Ronnie Revis, those guys up. And here comes Schrader on the inside of Jarrett, trying to take the spot away.
Let's get down to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Dale Jarrett.
We told you at the top of the show that Dale Jarrett had been diagnosed with pneumonia early in the week and had been on medication, antibiotics. Dale ran a 200-mile race yesterday in his Busch Grand National car, and although he said the race was okay, when he got to the room last night, he was very, very tired. He said, much tireder than I thought I would ever be. He said, just told me before the race today, as he sat in the car getting ready to crank the engine on pit road, he said, I am very weak. He said, I feel okay. I'm just so weak. He said, I'll be okay until about 2/3 of the way through the race, and then my lack of strength due to my illness will take its toll, and I hope I can make it. Right now, he's got to be struggling.
Yeah, I would think so, but it really isn't being reflected on the racetrack. He's staying right in there, but here comes Kyle now, charging back up, going to the inside, trying to take the position away from Dale again, not able to do so.
Well, if it gets too weak, I hope he doesn't stay out there too long.
Yeah, that would not be. There's Jeff Gordon motioning everybody to pass him to the inside.
And they say thank you and do.
I think it's a little too early to predict who's going to win the Winston Cup Championship this year. However, the winner in 6 of the last 8 Transouth 500s has gone on to win the Winston Cup Championship.
And Ned Earnhardt is putting a little distance on Mark Martin.
Yeah.
As we widen the camera back out, look how far back it is to Mark Martin. So Earnhardt is either picking up the speed or Martin is slowing down.
Yeah. Talked about at the top of the show about that black is back.
Dale's trying to carry on that streak that was interrupted briefly by the red and white victory of Morgan Shepherd last week, but black is back on top here today. And there's Rick Wilson, who has brought the STP Pontiac into the back pits for a look-see. They're raising the hood on that car. We've seen a lot of that today, some of it for overheating. Looks like it could be a more serious problem for Rick Wilson. Back with more from Darlington after this. The top 5 with a little more than 100 laps left. Dale Earnhardt, Mark Martin, Rusty Wallace, Ken Schrader, and Dale Jarrett. Well, you can bet where I'm going to be on April the 2nd at 7:30 Eastern Time. I'm going to be in front of my TV set, tuned to ESPN, and watching the battle of the New York teams. It's the Rangers and the Islanders. NHL action here on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern Time. On April the 2nd, the Rangers and the Islanders.
Here's a good battle. Ricky Rudd and Alan Kulwicki battling each other. That is for the 8th and 9th position. Right now, Alan Kulwicki has the 8th position. Rudd trying to take it away.
And here he comes on the inside. Has position. They come off their corner side by side. Well, he made it. Now
Look at Marlin.
Don't go 3 abreast into this turn, guys. Starling knew that.
He got way down on the inside, kicked up the dust. Look at this.
He said, let those guys settle their battle, and then I'll deal with them individually.
Kulwicki should have a good run off that corner.
Whoa.
He slips a little bit.
Yeah, slipping coming off the corner. Now, Rudd falls back in line and says, okay, let's cool it for a while.
Now, while I was watching that battle, Dale Jarrett got back around Kenny Schrader, moved into 4th. Now, this is the 8th, 9th, 10th positions. Terry Labonte is in there, 11th. He's not far behind the 8th. There he is.
Kulwicki, we got
did it again.
He did it again. Meanwhile, to report on Earnhardt, he is still pulling away from Mark Martin. Earnhardt is the leader. There he is. He's our leader, and he is actually pulling away. But then we speculated during commercial that it's overcast, it's cooled off 3 or 4 degrees, and it seems to be really affecting Mark Martin's car.
Yeah, evidently helping Dale Earnhardt, because I'm sure that Richard Childress and the Goodwrench team have perhaps made some adjustments on that car, because as we said earlier in the race, he was fast on new tires, but then would slow down after the tires would heat up. But that's not the case now. Boy, he is just hanging right. He found himself a good groove, running very, very high, especially through turns 1 and 2, and working for it.
Now we're getting to the point, if Earnhardt's tires are going to start giving up and Martin making a charge, now is the time that he's going to have to come get closer and closer. Yep. If Earnhardt continues to pull away, we may be seeing our winner right there.
He is strong right now.
Here once again is that fact that I mentioned a few laps ago. 6 of the last 8 Transouth winners have gone on to win the Winston Cup Championship.
That's interesting.
And Earnhardt is having a good season compared to last year at least. Now look at his after 4 race statistics. He is first in points right now. In 91
he was first,
and 90 he was first, and of course those were championship years.
So he's certainly on track to do the same thing.
Well, it has clouded up. Now it's not threatening rain, but it is cloudy, and it has changed the complexion of this race in terms of setup. Jerry, what can you add to that?
Well, Bob, with it getting cloudy and the temperature dropping some 8 or 9 degrees in the past 15 minutes, a lot of the crews have asked us if we know what's happening with the weather. They're very gun shy because they've had rain off and on and snow the past few weeks. So here's the NASCAR weather radar. We're right here at Darlington Raceway. There are no rain showers in our vicinity, but about 90 miles away up near Charlotte there is a shower, and over near Greenville Spartanburg there's a shower, and that is moving east. But in this area we're nice and clear, so that means we'll probably be able to get this race in with no rain at all, just a little overcast and a little cooling here in the afternoon.
You're hired. Thank goodness we found somebody who could do weather better than John Kernan did yesterday, right?
Yes. At least it doesn't rain when Punch does weather.
Let's go to John. John?
Yeah. Thanks, Jenkins. We're talking about the clouds moving in, the temperature dropping. That has really hurt Mark Martin. His car's been a little tight all day. They had it loosened up on that last pit stop, and it ran well until the clouds came in. Just talked to Steve Neal. He says they're going to have to loosen it up even more because they're expecting these clouds to stay in for the remainder of the race. They would like to see a caution so they can catch back up with Earnhardt right now, because like you guys said, if it stays green, we may be looking at the winner with Earnhardt as well as good a job as his team does in the pits.
Right now we're watching the battle for 8th position on the track as Rudd looks to the inside of Jeff Bodine but can't make the move.
8th, 9th, and 10th. Sterling Marlin back there in 10th spot. Rudd tries to get alongside, and
yes,
he makes the pass.
Easily.
And here comes Jeff Bodine trying to make it pass back.
Now, Alan Pointley was in that group of cars when we watched them the last time. He has pulled away from them.
Terry Labonte is still there with them, just a car length or so behind as we show you another Fran Field summary.
So these are how your favorite driver is running right now. Well, except maybe some of the positions back here that's being contested lap after lap.
We're keeping you up to date, though, on where the standings are right now. We really aren't concerned about what was going on 10 laps ago or even 5 laps ago. We want to keep you up to date on what's happening right now.
Now, this group of cars we're watching are about 3/4 of a lap behind Dale Earnhardt. So they've been in the lead lap all day, have run good lap times, made good pit stops, but with this green flag run we got going here right now, Earnhardt is gaining a good half a second a lap on this car.
And the lap is 261. So we've got 107 laps to go.
All right, here's where Earnhardt is compared to them. Here he is coming into the picture. So you can see it was not all of turn 3 and 4. They were coming off the 4. He was already well into turn 3.
There's Davey Allison right directly in front of Dale Earnhardt in jeopardy of going a lap down. And right now he is on the lead lap, but Earnhardt gaining on him.
You're watching live coverage of the Transouth Financial 500 from Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Back at Darlington, I'm Bob Jenkins along with Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch. Dale Earnhardt is the leader of the race at the moment, and Sterling Marlin has come on to pit road, and he gave us and many people sitting here in the main grandstand a thrill a couple of laps ago.
Okay, came off of turn 4 right on the back bumper of Jeff Bodine, and Terry Labonte was there. They may have touched a little bit. Marlin went sliding back and forth down there. Never did spin around, but Morgan Shepherd, boy, had to really hold his breath because he thought he was coming right out into it. Jeff Bodine is coming into the pits. Sterling Marlin is going out of the pits right now, but Jeff Bodine coming in. Dale Jarrett has passed Rusty Wallace for the 3rd position. Wallace's car beginning to go away, and Ricky Rudd is slowing going into turn 3.
All kinds of action going on
and here is Rusty Wallace on pit road. So is Kyle Petty coming down pit road. These would be scheduled pit stops, Jerry, right?
Exactly right, Ned. Rusty coming in. We would expect to see Dale Earnhardt get another couple of laps. Rusty's been a genuine draft crew, changing right side tires. Behind him, Kyle Petty and the Pontiac crew working on that car. A big problem for Ricky Rudd as he comes down pit road. Ricky interviewed his crew and said he thought the left rear tire was coming off and it was wobbling as it came by. Rusty has completed his work, and now so does the Kyle Petty crew. And Ricky Rudd's crew working on the Tide Chevrolet. Kyle was out, and apparently the left rear tire was almost off Ricky Rudd's Tide Chevrolet. Davey Alex is still on pit road. And other cars coming down to get service. Here's Terry Labonte. Car number 5 finally leaving pit road, but a very close call for Ricky Rudd in the Hendrick Chevrolet.
Yeah, Terry Labonte is in on pit road right now in the Kellogg Chevrolet.
A lot of steam rising from that car.
Dale Jarrett coming down pit road in the Interstate Batteries Chevrolet. As Terry continues to get his work, there goes Jarrett by him.
And Sterling Marlin coming back down once again.
John Kernan is in Dale Jarrett's pit.
It'll be a 4-tire change for Dale Jarrett. He is also one of the drivers calling on the radio, complaining to the crew chief that his car had gotten very, very tight whenever the sun went down, or behind the clouds, I should say. So there they go. They'll loosen it up on the right rear. Right side's already on. Left side's going on. Another can of Unical gasoline going in. Dale's still sitting on pit road waiting. Jack drops in. Dale Jarrett is away 21.5 seconds.
A little bit slower than those others that we've seen today. Dale Earnhardt coming in now, the leader. And Jerry Punch will be right there waiting on him. Jerry's coming towards you now.
We'll watch and wait and see possibly if they can do another pit stop in the under 18-second category. Mark Martin also coming down pit road in the Valvoline Ford. The front 2 cars on pit road, lap 271. Mark Martin on the bottom of your screen. Dale Earnhardt on the top, watching this high-speed ballet. Here's David Smith around the left side of the Earnhardt car. Now right side tires going on the Mark Martin Valvoline Ford Thunderbird. Now taking a couple of rounds of wedge out of Mark Martin's car. Earnhardt's car is down off the jack. Left side now on Mark Martin's Valvoline Ford. Earnhardt is heading down pit road. And now Mark Martin pulls out, and he will head back toward turn 1.
Alan Kowicki also in. He's the defending Winston Cup champion, and so he gets to pick first the pit stall that he wants. And of course, he chooses the one at far end of pit road. Morgan Shepherd is on in the pits.
Ken Schrader going out. He just got his service. And Brett Bodine going out in the Quaker State Ford. So these are regularly scheduled pit stops. You see Kowicki going back out.
And they're going to need at least one more.
Right? Oh, yes. They might need 2 more. And
no, they should be able to make it on 1 more from here on. 367 laps. We got.
We're 95 from the end right now.
Yeah.
So
I guess 1 more will do it fine.
Yep. Dale Earnhardt has reassumed command of the Transouth 500 after this round of pit stops. We'll be right back. Darlington International Raceway here in South Carolina. We'd like to remind you that at midnight tonight, you can see the Formula One race next Sunday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Join us for more NASCAR Winston Cup competition from Bristol International Raceway. That's the Food City 500 where Alan Kowicki is the defending champion. Boy, it's always exciting to go to Bristol on that tight half-mile high-banked racetrack.
That's one of my favorite tracks to watch.
It is fun, isn't it?
Oh, I love to see it.
Earnhardt is still riding the rim up there on.
And that's what's really helping him right now, because all the cars with the cool temperatures are tight. But Earnhardt found his high groove early on for a tight race car, and it's still working okay for him. Mark Martin needs to go to the top of the racetrack. He just doesn't feel very comfortable up there.
9th place car that Dale Earnhardt is about to lap. Terry Labonte running in 9th place. He's trying to put a lap on him. Here's Mark Martin. he's a little closer to Earnhardt than he was before they made those pit stops.
And with that lap, Dale Earnhardt has now led the most laps. He has led 122, whereas Mark Martin has led 121.
So Mark Martin needs to get up, reassume the lead, and lead some more laps to try to get those 5 extra bonus points. Right now, there's 90 laps to go. We've seen Alan Kowicki, the winner, as you mentioned last year, the Food City 500, right in front of Dale Earnhardt.
2.8 seconds separates first and second.
Coming up on Darrell Waltrip. Darrell is running in 13th position. He is 2 laps behind the leader.
And see, just that little bit of a bobble on Mark Martin's car hurt his lap time somewhat. Probably 0.2 of a second. Having to turn under Darrell Waltrip instead of being able just to use the racetrack. As Ned said earlier, the maximum lap, you use the entire racetrack here.
Let's see if the interval lengthened because of the fact that he had some trouble with 0.4 of a second.
0.4 of a second. Now then, this clean racetrack, no cars for he to pass, no cars for Earnhardt to pass. Let's see if Mark Martin can either close it up or he's going to lose more ground to Earnhardt. There's Mark Martin's second place car. There's our leader. The Goodwrench Chevrolet that has been so strong all year.
It was 3.2 last lap.
So in about 10 laps, we'll do it again and see if Mark Martin is able to start closing up.
Now in 3rd place is Rusty Wallace. He's pretty far behind. As a matter of fact, he is more than 1/3 of a lap behind, almost a half a lap behind Dale Earnhardt.
And Dale Jarrett running 4th place is just about
2.5 behind Rusty.
Yeah.
Kyle Petty is, I beg your pardon, Kenny Schrader is in 5th place. He is about 5 seconds behind.
And we can see that Mark Martin did close the gap 1/10 of a second. But I mean, that's like watching paint dry.
Ernie Irvin coming out of the garage area in the Kodak Film Chevrolet. I didn't even know he had gone to the garage area.
That was what surprised me too.
Yeah, he's back in there.
He's 14 laps down, but Irvin is back in competition.
And he was in the 7th position in points coming into this race. And boy, we've seen the points jumbled up after each of the races. We'll see it again here today.
And he comes back into the race in 22nd position. He's got something.
That's water.
That's the overflow, isn't it?
Yeah, water coming out of the. He's losing a great deal of water.
Yep.
There's our leader, Dale Earnhardt. The Bojangles Ford of Derek Cope directly in front of Earnhardt. You know why they put number 98 on that car, Bob? On Derek Cope's car. It's number 98.
Yeah.
You know why they put number 98 on it?
Nope.
They got 2 biscuits for 98 cents.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, you would know that,
That's
wouldn't you?
exactly right.
Except when you go in, you order them a dozen at a time, right?
To get them,
Dale Earnhardt's last win in Winston Cup competition was at Charlotte last year during the month of May.
Boy, he passes him where he catches him, Donnie.
Here's Dale Jarrett coming up on Sterling Marlin.
Now, Sterling, as a result of his spin and a couple of pit stops, he has gone down the line.
He's now 14th.
He was running in the lead lap in the top 10.
had his best run of the year going. Did Sterling Marlin. And I'll tell you one thing, he did a super job in not hitting something as he's
I'm telling you, he did.
I don't know how he did it.
I don't either.
Well, Jerry Punch is with Tony Glover.
Tony Glover, the crew chief for Ernie Irvin's Kodak Film Chevrolet. They just came out of the garage area, and I caught Tony walking out. Tony, what were you doing back there? What were you doing in the garage? What's the problem with the car?
Well, something happened to the engine. The thing either burned a piston or busted a head or something. It started running real hot, and we had to come in and put some water in it. And right now, we're just kind of running on borrowed time, trying to log a few miles for the points. And I guess we'll have to wait till next week at Bristol.
A tough one for Ernie Irvin. They'll head home to Bristol, Tennessee next week, about 15 miles from their shop in Abington. And you see Tony Glover running back to get in their pits. He had stayed in the garage area to work on the car. They have certainly hoped they can finish it. They've got less than 100 laps to go.
Well, Ernie Irvin won his first Winston Cup race at Bristol in August of 1990, so he does go there with a little bit of hope. Now, in the back pit, Darrell Waltrip has come in, the Western Auto Chevrolet.
I guess this is a normal pit stop. He probably has run to this point.
Probably has, yes. He runs longer than most people. He was shown in 13th position before he came in for this pit stop. Of course, Darrell had a big win last week in the Western Auto Shootout out in the Texas World Speedway.
That was fun, wasn't it, guys?
It was fun. I really enjoyed that.
I hope you got to see it. It was on a midnight last Sunday night. Darrell stretched the first stop to the point where he caught a caution, put the field a lap down, but there was good competition other than that. It was the ARCA and Winston West shootout, but it featured Schrader, Dale Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip.
And that's a great facility out there now.
Yeah, it is.
Here's Earnhardt putting a lap on Jeff Bodine, the 8th place car.
So Earnhardt is making a shambles of this race now. He almost got a lap down earlier, but now is in the lead and looking good at Darlington. Transouth Financial 500 from Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Now 291 laps old.
And now they're projecting these guys can go 60 laps on a tire stop, Ned.
Well, you mentioned earlier that as the race goes on that it will get better. The tire wear will get better. They got more rubber down on the racetrack, so the tires don't give up quite as much now as they did earlier.
And we can see Earnhardt and Mark Martin scheduled for to pit at exactly the same time.
About 40 more laps. They should be coming in for a stop.
I'll tell you one thing, Earnhardt's line hasn't deviated all day. It's been the same, lap after lap, right up against the guardrail.
He's found himself a line there that really works for him. Just doing a great job of staying right in that line.
Now, Earnhardt started from the pole, but will not get the $53,200 worth of Unocal bonus money because he did not have qualifying. They lined up because of the point standings, according to the point standings. And so the bonus money will roll over until next week as Ernie Irvin comes in for another stop.
Don't you know that car owner hates that, Ned, to stop it on $1,000 worth of tires when you got a blown up race car?
Oh yeah, that's a tough situation, no doubt about it. But you know, if you stay out there and you gain 10 more points, it might cost you several $1,000s, but it'll make you many thousand at the end of the race, at the end of the season, because there is so much difference in each position as far as the point standings are concerned.
So Irvin gets the tires changed and the fuel in, and now he's back out there.
Now, Dale Earnhardt has put a lap on Alan Kowicki. Alan Kowicki is being shown as the 7th place car. Now,
6 on the lead lap then.
Yeah, Kyle Petty is next. He's about 5 seconds ahead of Dale Earnhardt.
Here's a Napa field summary showing you 6 cars on the lead lap, just like Ned said.
That's
12 cars.
And Ricky Rudd once again in the pits. The Tide Chevrolet. Jerry Punch, what's going on down there?
Well, you saw a minute ago, Benny, when he came down pit road, the left rear tire, the lug nuts had worked their way loose, and the wheel was almost off. They replaced those tires, and now Ricky complained of a vibration. Now he has come back down pit road, and they're going to work. They're going to put a spacer on the left rear hub to try to move the wheel out a little bit. Now they've put the wheel in place, tighten the lug nuts, and the Tide crew will drop the jack, and Rudd puts it in gear and pulls away.
Jerry, we're wondering, the fact that we mentioned a very fast pit stop he had during a caution. Then he came back in. He only went out and made 1 lap, but they didn't get all the lug nuts tied on that left rear. Could there have been enough damage done to the studs right then that they keep loosening up now? Of course, they put that spacer in there to get the threads moved out a little bit further. Could it have gone back to that particular pit stop that started these problems?
That's exactly what could have happened. You look back at everything that went on with a few lug nuts that were left loose. It possibly could allow the wheel to move enough to strip out some of the innermost cords on the screws, on the studs themselves. And now they put a spacer in, and they are looking over the tires and wheels here in the Rudd pit, trying to see if they could have worked their way loose. At this point in time, they really don't see anything.
Well, sorry, Jerry. You saw on the racetrack how Dale Jarrett has taken over 3rd position from Rusty Wallace. He got his left side tires way down on the apron to do it in turn 3. And there's what we're talking about. Jerry?
Let me show you guys. This is the left rear wheel that just pulled over a minute ago. You see how these lug nuts have been able to allow this wheel to vibrate loose? It was beginning to vibrate and bounce. They basically have galled or eroded part of the metal away inside the wheel here, so the wheel was vibrating. That's why they put a spacer in behind the wheel to try to keep the wheel pushed out backwards out that way and hopefully be able to tighten it down. Rudd has not complained about any vibrations since he's gone back out.
Hey, what's that good? That's good thinking on the Bruce part to realize that they had screwed up the threads there, and they had to push the wheel out so the threads would hold the wheel up against the hub.
Well, we are near the track record. 138.3 is our average speed at this moment. The track record is 139.3, so about a mile an hour under. And as Earnhardt comes down this time, he will complete 300 laps and will have 67 to go. There's second place, Mark Martin.
Looks like Martin is fighting a really ill-handled race car right now. Looks like as he came off turn 4 that the car got a little bit loose. They had to come down the racetrack to catch the back end. Like he's got his hands full.
Well, I tell you, it's just amazing how his car was so good before, and then to see it switch around. The difference now, Dale Earnhardt is the dominant car as he was early in the race.
There's an indication of how much racetrack there is between first and third. There's Dale Jarrett running right behind Wally Dallenbach, but there's 3/4 of a lap distance between first and third.
Yeah, in fact, Dale Earnhardt, as Jarrett goes around Wally Dallenbach, Dale Earnhardt is coming up on the 6th place car of Kyle Petty to put a lap on him here very shortly.
And did, as a matter of fact, as you were talking, did that, Ned?
We have just 5 cars in the lead lap. Kenny Schrader is the 5th place car. We'll see Jarrett running 3rd, Rusty Wallace is 4th, and Kenny Schrader 5th.
Rusty Wallace is not too far behind, but I think you would have to almost describe his predicament right now as a struggle.
Yeah, that car is definitely not running like it was earlier either. And look at him, saw that wheel as he comes up on Bobby Hamilton in the country time Ford.
Hamilton is 17th. He is 3 laps behind.
Rusty is pretty good on new tires. In fact, he's good on new tires, but as they run on, his tires heat up and the car starts slowing down for him.
He goes to the corner. That time he didn't fight the wheel nearly as badly as he has been. Let's watch him in turn 3 and see how he goes, how he has to fight the wheel. He goes in the corner. He lets the car drift up.
And Sterling Marlin has just hit the pit wall inside pit wall.
And though something's broken, he's not able to steer the car. We see the right front tire towed in dramatically, but yet the car won't roll. So something's broken on the left front.
And he's 2 pits away from his own pits. But fortunately, the car where he is at, that car has fallen out of the race, so he's not messing anybody else that might want to come in. See, there is his pits, just 2 pits away.
It's just a good thing that there weren't other cars on pit road, or this didn't happen during a frantic pit stop situation.
Oh, yeah, that could have been disastrous.
Well, there's Earnhardt, and if he wins, he'll become the 5th different winner this year and will extend his streak of at least 1 win per year for the last 12 years. He leads Mark Martin, Dale Jarrett, Rusty Wallace, and Ken Schrader, and again takes that car up to the outside wall in turns 1 and 2. This is looking back on him from Jeff Bodine's car. Earnhardt leading with 305 of 367 laps completed. Rusty Wallace had enough. He came in, made a 17.2-second pit stop to change the tires. He is rolling again, but he had a handful of race car and just figured that he couldn't take it any longer, so he came in.
Now, Bob, he can make it the rest of the way. There was 60 laps to go when he came into the pits. As far as fuel is concerned, no problem. But his car's been going away, so he's going to be facing some real hot worn tires near the end of this race. But he'll run good for a little while. We saw Dale Earnhardt go by. That makes Rusty 2 laps down right now.
And also, Dale Earnhardt has accumulated enough lead laps to give him 5 bonus points. He's locked that in. This is Brett Bodine riding inside the Quaker State Ford. He is running in 12th position, 2 laps down.
You see Rusty Wallace go by Earnhardt. Now he was 2 laps down, Ned. Now he's 1 lap down to the right.
Boy, those fresh tires. It's about 2 seconds a lap, as you talked about earlier in the race.
Rusty is just hoping and praying that there'll be a caution flag between now and the end of the race, because he's going to really be struggling to try to run 50, 55 laps on these tires.
But he wants that caution to come after others have made their green flag pit stop.
Exactly.
Because right now there are only 4 cars on the lead lap. That is Dale Earnhardt in first, Mark Martin in second, Dale Jarrett third, and Kenny Schrader in fourth.
Every time he runs up there, I think he's going to slam into the wall.
So does everybody else. Me included.
The battle scar showing there on the left side of the car from an incident with Jeff Bodine, 8 or 9 laps into the race?
Yeah, exactly.
We got to start positioning a dog camera, as Benny calls it again, the one that hangs outside the right side of the car to see how close these guys come to the wall.
Watch me goes up. Well, this time he wasn't very.
Yeah, he was what, 8 inches off the wall that time. He was way off it.
Yeah, he might even got a little nervous about that himself. Said, I better not do that. Quick.
Normally he gets up there, but not nearly as high there in the 3rd and 4th turns.
And watch this car. If we can get a shot of the camera going down the front straightaway. Watch as he goes down just before he gets turn 1. See that bump? The front air dam almost drags the racetrack as these cars go down in turn 1. I think they're hitting the brakes and also hitting the bump about the same time as the car really dips going down in turn 1.
We saw Ricky Rudd going slow around the racetrack. Jeff Bodine coming in for what should be his last pit stop. John Kernan is right there.
Jeff Bodine has pulled the Motorcraft Ford into the pit. Now, earlier on, he also had an incident with the wall, and that kind of messed up something in the front end. The car doesn't want to steer just right. So that has hampered Jeff's efforts, because early on, he was running really well. Right's already on, left side's going on. Last can of fuel, he'll be able to go the rest of the way from here. And the Donnie Wingle-led crew sends Jeff down pit road on his way.
20.1 seconds for the stop by Jeff Bodine in the Motorcraft Ford. And Rudd is back on pit road.
Now they're on the hood this time. It's not the lug nuts on the problems on the left rear. Something under the hood. Davey Allison coming in for what should be his last pit stop. He's being shown in the 10th position right now, 1 lap behind the leader. Here comes Alan Kowicki down pit road in the Hooters Ford. Alan in 5th position.
Everybody getting in position for the final charge to the checkered flag.
You see the clock going up. For Davey Allison's pit stop, 19.5 seconds.
Yep. Now Kowicki, John Kernan.
Well, it's another 4-tire change for Alan Kowicki. And you know, a couple of pit stops ago, he had radioed in and told crew chief Paul Andrews that he thought he had a car that could contend for the win. And all of a sudden, the clouds came in, car tightened up, couldn't run very well. He is finally down and away.
Terry Labonte coming in the Kellogg Chevrolet number 14. Terry is running in the 7th position. He is 1 lap down the leader. Morgan Shepherd, winner at Atlanta. The Citgo Ford coming in as well.
Let's check an interval again on these guys. It was 3.2. We see Earnhardt stretch it out to 4.3, so he's slowly pulling away from Mark Martin.
Kyle Petty coming in. He was in 5th position, 1 lap behind the leader.
Tire loose on pit road down on Morgan Shepherd's area. And we'll try the interval again here.
Here we go.
Separation between first Earnhardt and second Martin is 4.2.
So Martin gained 1/10 of a second a lap, but again.
Oh, look at this. We got some fire down here in Ricky Rudd's pit. Some rags have caught on fire.
They've got some fuel on the rags. They're working on the carburetor. They spilled some fuel on those shop towels and set them on fire.
Anybody hurt down there, Jerry?
No, it was a close call down there, but Rudd had a problem with the carburetor. As Benny Parsons said, the floats were stuck and the car wouldn't run but about half wide open. So they came down pit road trying to fix it under the hood and decided to go ahead and change the carburetor. That's awfully hard to do in a hurry down here, but they had some fuel on the rags. And now the problem is Rudd is pitting right in front of where Dale Earnhardt is about to come down pit road and pit. And that fire extinguisher chemical created a little bit of a visual problem. So now they are alerting the Rudd crew that they're about to bring Earnhardt down pit road for what should be his final pit stop.
Fourth place car, Kenny Schrader, is in the pits, getting 4 tires.
Earnhardt is coming in. Earnhardt is coming in. He drops off the banking and heads down pit road as Schrader pulls out. You see Sterling Marlin's car is still there on pit road. Dale passes by him right, and Rudd is off pit road. So, Jerry, it's clean sailing for Dale.
Clear sailing for the leader of this race, the Goodwrench Chevrolet. His final pit stop, lap 320, just 47 laps away from the checkered flag. Right side tires, 1 can. Now Chocolate Meyer, 2nd can of fuel. Little trouble, though. The left rear tire is off now. Left front is off. New tires are on. Lug nuts being fastened. Jack is dropped, and he is down pit road. 19-second pit stop. Let's go down to John Kernan.
Dale Jarrett pulls the Interstate Battery Chevrolet in as Jimmy McCarthy crew will go to work. A 4-tire change. They've been running 3rd for the last half of this race. Also top 5 most of the day. Mark Martin is also headed down pit road. Dale Jarrett, right side's on, left side's coming off. Right side's going on Mark Martin's car as he had assumed the lead when he stayed out when Earnhardt pitted. Left side's on Dale Jarrett. He's down and on his way. They will try and loosen up Mark's car a little bit more as they take another round of wedge out of the right rear. Right sides are on, left side's going on. Steve Neal throws the tire over his right shoulder. They clean off the grill. Mark Martin is down and away. A pretty quick pit stop. 19.9 seconds for Mark Martin.
We timed Jarrett, and his stop was a little bit faster, 19.4.
The Joe Gibbs racing team has a bonus program. I know a lot of the teams have that as well. But if they make a stop under 20 seconds, they get a $25 bonus. Those guys go over the wall. But if they go over 20 seconds, $25 taken away. Coming into this race, they were in the hole. I'm not sure they've gained that much today. Even with that pit stop, that helps. So.
And there are the rags that caught fire from Ricky Rudd's pit stop. Well, final stops are being made. We're about ready to shake things out and go to the checkered flag here at Darlington. We'll be back in just a moment. When you're in the Darlington area, having come here to watch all the racing, there's lots of things you can go look at. Here's the old courthouse that actually is the new courthouse. It's burned down a couple of times. Once was in 1864. This current structure was built in 1903, but it continues to be updated. It's in the square here in Darlington, and a very, very beautiful building. I
wonder
hope
if 1864, I guess the Yankees burned it when they came through, huh?
May have been.
Yes.
I just hope that you can stay out of there, Benny, and not get any traffic tickets or whatever.
I hope so.
Earnhardt leads here at Darlington with 325 laps completed.
Never see the car dip down and hit turn 1 and go right to the top of the racetrack, the line he has run all day long.
If he continues to lead the balance of today's race, he will have led 694 of the 2,300 miles that we have raced in the first 5 events of 1993. That is 30%, and I think it's pretty good documentation that he is a contender in 1993.
And we see Kenny Schrader right in front of Dale Earnhardt. Remember, he had been lapped, but he made a pit stop early, got his 4 fresh tires on there a couple of laps before Earnhardt, so he's now back in the lead lap. There he is, the white car right on the left side of your screen you saw a moment ago.
If he wins this race, it'll be the 54th victory of his career.
Ties in with Lee Petty.
Is that right?
Yep. Lee Petty won 54 races.
Let's check the interval. Here goes Earnhardt. The clock starts. We're waiting on Mark Martin to come by. The Valvoline Ford. There he is. 5.3 seconds.
Closed in a little.
You better start closing more
Big
than
time,
a tenth of the time because
yeah, there's not enough laps left. There's not a tenth of the time.
this is going to slow him down some because he's got 2 slow cars right in front of him. Oh, and he makes some contact with Derek Cope.
Boy, I'll tell you, That is some gutsy driving that he's doing. He has a lot of confidence in himself and in that race car right now.
5.3, 4.5 seconds. So we see that the slower cars slowed Earnhardt down about 0.8 of a second.
But all those slower cars have to be passed by Mark Martin, so it should equal out.
If Martin is able to catch him on the straightaway and pass him, then it's to his advantage. When you run 367 laps, it ought to even out. You know, Earnhardt ought to catch the same amount on the straightaway as Martin does. But let's see. Now this is back to basically clean racetrack. What was it, 4.5? 4.4.
Knocked another 10th off.
But another 10.
Only another 10th. Yes.
Now, if he was within about a second of him, that would be significant.
Yeah.
Those laps are winding down. We only have 37 more. And did I see Earnhardt's car wiggle up there now?
It looked like it might have wiggled just a little bit coming off of the turn.
Darrell Waltrip. Remember, Waltrip stopped about lap 290, so his tires are getting well worn right now. Once again, a Napa field summary. Kyle Petty, 7th place, a lap down. Bill Elliott back in 14th, 3 laps down.
Boy, there has been perhaps the biggest surprise as far as I'm concerned about the 93 season. I thought Bill would pick up where he left off last year, but it's been a real struggle for him this year.
It really has. Daytona had a very good race car, but overheated, blew a piston, whatever he did down there.
Let's hope that Elliott can turn things around here as we head toward Bristol International next Sunday. Well, we're going to get some breaks out of the way here for you, so we'll be back and cover the finish of this 500-mile race here at Darlington Raceway. We'll be right back. Welcome back to our live coverage of the Transouth Financial 500 from Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Approaching the end of the race tonight at midnight Eastern Time. That's 9 o'clock on the West Coast. Join us for coverage of the Grand Prix of Brazil Formula One race, second race of the season. That's from Sao Paulo, Brazil. And again, we don't want to give away any details on the race, but we do want to urge you to watch it because it is quite a race. And Michael Andretti, unfortunately, had some more misfortune, and that in itself is quite a story. Midnight tonight. And again, our thanks and hats off to the Family Channel Blimp for providing all of today's aerial coverage of the Transouth 500 from Darlington. Chief pilot Alan Burrows has done a great job providing those overhead shots. Well, for those of you who had tuned in to watch the checkered flag program regarding the IndyCar race from Australia, it will air tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern Time, tomorrow afternoon, 12:30 Pacific Time. It was scheduled for 4:30, but we're not finished with our race yet, so we'll put that on at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon.
Now, Earnhardt has caught Kenny Schrader to put him a lap down. Now, he's been following Schrader for a couple laps. Schrader doesn't want to go that lap down. Meanwhile, Mark Martin is probably gaining a little more time than he would if Earnhardt was in clear racetrack. There's Mark Martin coming.
Schrader, by the way, is a 5th position, so Earnhardt is looking to take a lap away from the 5th place car.
And once again, Schrader is running about the same spot on the racetrack that Dale Earnhardt is running. And it's hard for Earnhardt to go to the bottom of the racetrack where he's shown all day long. It's been difficult for him to run on the bottom. He needs to run on top and look where Schrader is. All right, let's try it. Once again, we'll check the interval. Once again, here comes Earnhardt. The clock starts. Here comes, what was it, 4.4 seconds or something like that?
Around it, yeah, he's gaining, but laps are winding down.
I'm told it was 4.1, so
we're less than 30 laps away from the checkered flag, so the interval is too great. Jerry Punch understands some good news from the Dale Earnhardt pit.
Well, Andy Petrie has been named Western Auto Mechanic of the race, and Andy, congratulations on being named Western Auto Mechanic of the race here.
Yeah, it's awful nice that people do that for us. You know, I can't, like I said before, you know, it's not enough I can say about the crew. They're really the ones that deserve it. They give it to one person, but it's really just a reflection of the whole team.
You worked so hard to get this car set up. The theme this year has been black is back now. Looks like you got about less than 30 laps to go. Does Dale seem to have any problem at all?
Yeah, we're just looking for some luck now. You know, we've had a good run all day. We got down a lap there, made it back up, and had a good break there. We're just looking for a little more good luck, and maybe we can win.
Andy Petrie, the Western Auto mechanic of the race, he gets $1,000 for doing a heck of a job to get this car possibly back to victory lane.
And when we showed you the current point standings, it reflected how that Andy is atop the point standings, so he adds to his lead with today's honor.
Ned, why do you suppose that Earnhardt, he caught Schrader, but that gap is, I think he's backed off because he realizes that Martin can't catch him now? Could he's taking care of his tires?
Takes care of his tires. Could very well be, but that's what he's doing. He has a good lead. No point in taking any unnecessary chances, although when we saw him make a move up there on turn 4 a while ago, we wondered about that, didn't we?
There we see Bobby Hamilton. He's been smoking badly on the bottom of the racetrack, the country time Ford. Just going down the front straightaway now. I assume he'd be heading to his pits in the back.
He's very slow down through here.
25 laps to go.
You know, Bob, remember that race in Atlanta last fall, just how exciting it was with Kawicki and Bill Elliott trying to win the championship and what have you?
Yep.
Well, you know, every race on the Winston Cup circuit is exactly the same.
Yeah.
What Earnhardt does today and next week and last week determines on what he's going to win the championship or not.
Yep, you're right. Here's Rusty Wallace in 3rd place, and he made pit stops earlier than most everyone else, and so the tires are a little bit, look at that. The tires are a little bit older, and it's pretty obvious because he's sawing that wheel again, Jerry.
That is indeed the case, Bob. They said that he stopped so early trying to get an advantage with fresh tires, and now one advantage he may have gotten has gone away. The tires are worn. He still has about 23 laps to go, and they really need a yellow flag or some stop on pit road to be able to get fresh rubber on that car.
But when he made that pit stop earlier than the rest at lap 308, he had about 60 laps, 59 laps to go. Now, Dale Jarrett had just passed him as we see him fight that wheel again. And when, after their pit stops, after Jarrett pitted, he was 11 seconds behind Rusty. Now he's only 3.5 seconds. So Jarrett, with the fresher tires, is able to move in closer to it. Whether he has enough time to catch him now till the end of the race, well, time will tell.
Yep.
Same kind of a situation with Earnhardt and Mark Martin.
Let's see the interval. There's Rusty, and there's Dale. Yeah. Entering turn 3. And there's Ricky Rudd, who was right behind Jarrett. There's Dale going to the high side of Ernie Irvin. 22 laps to go. And Dale Earnhardt will have his 54th career victory in his pocket. Can he hold off Mark Martin and Rusty Wallace? Back at Darlington Raceway in South Carolina, the Transouth Financial 500. We'd like to take our hats off to Jim Hunter and his staff here at Darlington. They have, as we see, we are back above the track record. They've done a great job just in the last year putting some paint on this place and really making it look nice. And they have major plans for a brand new grandstand on what is now the backstretch. And it is hoped that at some point in the future, and this is maybe a couple of years away, that the starting line will move over to where the backstretch is now. But anyway, they're doing some great jobs.
The left side of your screen is the backstretch, and their plans are for that to be the front stretch. The right side of your screen, which is currently the front stretch, they're just basically going to flip-flop.
So that means that turn 1 and 2 will be what now is 3 and 4, and that'll make for some very interesting starts.
Yeah, going in there side by side.
Right.
Especially coming off turn 4 or turn 2.
Again, for those of you who are tuning in for the IndyCar checkered flag program regarding the Australia race, we're going to go till, well, we're going to go over, obviously. So that race will be on, checkered flag will be on at 3:30 tomorrow afternoon. Dale Jarrett has caught and passed Rusty Wallace for 3rd.
Just caught him, and he's made up that 3.5 seconds in just a few laps, man.
Yes, he has. Rusty's car has just totally gone away. He's really fighting that thing. He's going to be hard pressed to last 16 or 17 laps. Now, he's got to take in consideration. If he does come in, he's going to go a lap down. He's still in the lead lap. Rusty is in 4th place. So I expect he'll try to hang on and try to salvage that fourth-place finish.
Only 16 laps to go.
The challenger is Ken Schrader, who's about a straightaway behind Rusty. You see Rusty fighting that wheel, trying to make that car go the other direction. And when it goes the other direction, make sure the back end goes.
Yeah, he has his hands full right now. There's no doubt about it.
Here comes another Napa Field summary here for you, showing 4 cars on the lead lap.
And this will be the last one you'll see today. At the end, you'll see a finishing result. But Bill Elliott back now 4 laps behind. Bobby Labonte, the leading NASCAR rookie contender.
Jeff Gordon, 24th.
It says out. I guess he is out now, isn't he?
Yeah, he came back and ran some laps, but I think he's out now.
And there's the 39 cars that started the race.
Showing Harry Gant, who had a very bad race today, dropping out early. Dale Earnhardt, the Kannapolis, North Carolina driver of the GM Goodwrench Chevrolet, just a few laps away now from another win. Dale Earnhardt leads the Transouth Financial 500 with 11 laps to go. And should he win, he will record the second victory of 1993 for Chevrolet. Chevy will have 2, Ford will have 2, and Pontiac will have 1.
Yes.
That's pretty evenly matched, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Good parity.
Certainly the Fords and the Chevrolets have the Pontiacs outnumbered.
Yeah.
Good. Pulling, where was he on the pulling off the track, it looked like.
He's down in 1 and 2, going slowly. This is out of the back of Rusty Wallace, Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac. Watch, looking back at Dale Earnhardt about to put Rusty a lap down.
Yeah, just gives you an indication of how close the 4th place car is to being lapped, and it's happening as we speak on the high side of turn number 4.
And Kenny Schrader is right there. He's coming up. That'll be for position if he passes the Rusty Wallace car. Wallace in 4th right now. Darrell Walker running good right now. He has a little fresher tires than the others. And there Kenny Schrader goes around taking over 4th. So Rusty, boy, that car really went away when the tires got real hot and old for him.
And we see Darrell Walker, who made a pit stop just 4 or 5 laps ago, go by the leader, Dale Earnhardt.
He's 16th in the scoring.
Now there are just 3 cars in the lead lap.
Dale Earnhardt has 7 wins here. He has 4 Transouth wins in 82, 86, 87, 90. If he wins today, he will have 4 of the last 7 victories in this event. Here's Kyle Petty and Morgan Shepherd as they are.
That's Alan.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I looked away too soon. That's how quickly we forget the champion.
And both those cars wiggling badly as they come off the corner. That's the race for 6th, I believe.
Yeah.
But I think both of them realize it is a race for 6th. And I think that probably cooler heads will prevail. Meanwhile, Mark Martin just, after that, the sun went behind the clouds, or as John says, the sun went down, he really started having problems.
Now, if points were awarded right now, Alan Kulwicki would show the greatest increase in terms of movement in the point standings. He would gain 4 positions into 10th. We've got all kinds of statistics this year due to a new computer system that we are using.
Here's Schrader.
Oh!
Oh, come on, guys. Now, there's only 6 laps to go.
Earnhardt says, go ahead.
Yeah, but it looks better in the record book if you finish in the lead lap. Earnhardt better let him because he's got a good lead and not that many laps to go, so not going to hurt him a bit in the world to let Schrader go by.
And I tell you what, you know, Rusty Wallace is talking about how dedicated he and his team are this year, and there's no doubt that they are. But it sure looks like Earnhardt and that whole bunch is dedicated this year because they're working awfully hard. Dick Trickle goes by Earnhardt. So Earnhardt right now is in a conservative mode. And folks, look at this closely because he doesn't get in this mode very often.
That's right.
That's
but
right.
there are only 4 laps to go, and that's one of the reasons why.
That's one of the reasons.
Now, Mark Martin is closing right now, guys, but he's got too much distance to make up. Earnhardt knows exactly how far behind he is, or at least his crew's telling him.
There's Earnhardt. There's Mark Martin.
363 completed, 4 to go for Dale. Earnhardt. Mark Martin has had a good run.
He had a great run. And both these guys are really fighting worn tires right now. Earnhardt's, I'm sure that race car is a handful right now, so there's no point in taking any unnecessary chances. Here we got a race going again between these two guys. Kulwicki pulled up on the outside of Kyle Petty. I thought he had the spot. Petty fought back.
He gave it a look, but wasn't able to do it. He's up a little.
Wiggling a little bit there, too.
He is.
Very high. Kyle still running down low. Didn't get his left wheels down on the flat that time coming around there. But
if there wasn't 3 laps to go, a bunch of these cars would be hitting pit road right now.
Yeah.
Here's Kulwicki once again going to try it on the outside. He's got a pretty good run on Kyle.
Nope, don't think so.
That's 4 points.
Oh, baby.
It was a lot. It wasn't as close as it looked.
Scared me.
Less than 2 laps to go.
Earnhardt down in 1 and 2.
He'll get the white flag next time by.
And Mark Martin, he's going to be really frustrated because he's just closed up to within about 1.5 seconds right now. So
they started this race according to points, and the last time they did that was at Michigan in the spring of 1990. Dale Earnhardt won that event. The white flag is out. 1 more lap to go for Dale Earnhardt, and he'll record his first victory since Charlotte last year.
May at Charlotte. That's a long time ago, wasn't it? Final lap. And I tell you what, he said, baby, hang on. I know he is. Because the team that is as accustomed to winning as Dale Earnhardt, Richard Childress, and all this crew, last May was a long time ago.
The 54th win of his illustrious career in Winston Cup competition. Here is Dale Earnhardt winning the Transouth Financial 500. Mark Martin finishes in 2nd position. Here comes Alan Kulwicki and Petty, who really got down on the apron that lap, battling for position, but Kulwicki got it. That's 6th and 7th.
Well, the last time we had looked at them battling, the 42 car was ahead, but he slipped into the wall and Kulwicki got by, but Kyle couldn't get that time.
John Kernan is down in Dale's pit with Andy Petrie.
We should add the first year Andy Petrie taking over as crew chief for Dale Earnhardt. The first win with Dale Earnhardt's going to feel pretty good.
Well, it's a lot of fun to win with these guys. These guys know how to win. This is great. Dale did a great job. The crew did a great job. The motors, I couldn't say enough about the motors. They ran real good. Our qualifying engines have been good. Our race motors have been super. Our pit stops are excellent today, too. So, I can't say enough about the crew.
What about the weather? I mean, it didn't affect you as bad. How in tune to that were you getting the setup set this morning?
Well, I think our car reacted a little bit to the weather. I think we were better under the cloud cover than we were in the sun, and that's kind of the way it turned out to our advantage.
That's a very happy Andy Petrie is going to head to victory lane as Dale Earnhardt's crew now comes around down pit road. And high fives all around for Mr. Earnhardt.
Earnhardt on his way to victory lane here at Darlington. The 8th win of his career here at the track too tough to tame. We'll talk with him in a moment.
All right.
Emerging victorious from his GM Goodwrench Chevrolet is Dale Earnhardt. He's won it. Here's the doc.
A big smile from Dale Earnhardt. And Dale, congratulations on victory lane entry number 1 for the 1993 season.
Well, I tell you, I can't say enough about Richard and all the guys back in the shop. Jim Goodwrench and Mac and Western Steer and all the folks, they worked real hard last year. We had a bad year, and to come back and run as good as we're running this year, it's worth it, man. This old car was, she got behind. We got a lap down on that caution, and we pitted, and they had a caution. And old car did good. I just sort of had to run it in a high groove and get it to turn better. It was a little tight, and amazingly, we just drove away from Mark after we got our lap back. It's a good deal.
The cloud cover seemed to make the car work a little better for you.
Well, it was real tight. I think it'd been better to the sun for us, but as it worked out, it was good, because we got to running high, and it didn't get too loose to run high. We had the car set up pretty medium, but it was just a little tight off the corner down here and a little tight in the middle, and I got to running up higher, and I thought I was going to hit the wall a couple of times, but we came through without any scratches.
after the great weeks in Daytona, you won the qualifier, won the Clash. 93's got to be awfully good to you right now, looking awfully good.
93's looking real good, and you know, I just can't say enough about these guys. They've worked hard for it, and they worked hard all winter long. I know everybody says, well, they've won a lot of championships, but these guys are dedicated, and they worked hard, and I'd like to thank everybody back in the shop and the engine room and everybody that worked so hard for us.
Dale Earnhardt in victory lane here, winning the 37th annual Transouth Financial 500. Let's go up to John Kernan, who's standing by with Mark Martin. John?
Mark, I tell you what, a great race for you guys, but when the clouds came over, it seemed to really hurt you. The car tightened up a lot.
Well, you know, all I can say is you know, we were really running good all day, but the 3 car got better in the beginning of the race. We were a little bit better than him on the long runs, and then later in the race, they got where they could outrun us. Wasn't anything we could do with them, and I'm as proud as I can be of that car and that whole Valvoline team. They're doing a great job, and on any other given day, I think we'd have won the race, but today, Dale and the bunch were just exceptional, and we couldn't handle them, so maybe we'll get them next week.
Well, there is always next week, but there's also the championship at hand. You got to feel pretty good. I mean, you guys have run well. I know you had some problems in Atlanta after dominating a lot of that race, but the car and the team are all together.
Yeah, you know, I'm just as proud as I can be of this whole team and the cars and everything. Like I said before, looking real forward to the season. We're definitely going to get our share this year, I think.
That's Mark Martin. He's going to head back to the garage area, and these guys will be back at Bristol next week and be one of the cars to watch, I think, for the win.
Yeah, Martin moved up 1 position in the point standings, according to the unofficial statistics, to 5th. So he indeed does have a good early part of the 1993 season going, as does Dale Earnhardt, who is the winner here in the Transouth Financial 500. Beautiful aerial shots of the Transouth 500 from Darlington Raceway in South Carolina. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is One Tough Motor Oil. By your local Yamaha dealer, who invites you to see their exciting line of motorcycles, ATVs, and water vehicles. And by Budweiser, the king of beers, with that fresh, pure, natural taste. Nothing beats a Bud. Earnhardt wins, Martin second, 3rd place finisher Dale Jarrett. Here's Jerry.
A big smile from a guy that we might say is a whip puppy right now, Dale Jarrett. Pneumonia all week. A question mark whether you'd be able to make it to Darlington. You ran yesterday and you ran today. You had a great finish.
Yeah, we're pleased. The Interstate Battery Chevrolet ran good today, and Jimmy and the guys did a fantastic job in the pits, adjusting the car, kind of chasing the weather here. We were too tight most of the time, and then as the sun went away, we got even tighter, so we had to get some more wedge out of it. But we'll take a 3rd here, and congratulate Dale and his guys. At least the Chevrolet won the race.
Now, a 3rd at Darlington when you're feeling good is great. Now, when you're feeling like, how do you feel?
Well, I'm pretty tired. I was probably only about 90% today when I started, but I get back to eating like normal here before long, and that's too much, but we'll still eat like normal and get my strength back. That's the biggest thing is my strength, but I'll be okay. This 3rd helps it a whole lot.
Well, let me show you how tough it is at Darlington, guys. Show me your left hand here, Dale. Take a look. A blister the size of a quarter here on the inside. That's from holding that steering wheel and fighting it all day, but it paid off with a 3rd place finish for the Interstate Battery Chevrolet. Let's go up to John Kernan.
Well, Jerry, with the 4th place finisher, Ken Schrader, and you and Earnhardt were having some fun there at the end of the race, Ken.
Yeah, I got up there beside him with a couple laps to go, and I knew he had a lot more to lose than I did. You know, I mean, he's leading the thing, so I got up there beside him and just clipped him in the left door a little bit. He let me go.
Your car, the second half of the race, really seemed to take off. Was it, were you guys set up for cool conditions with all this cloud cover, or how did that work out?
The guys adjusted a lot all day. They really fought the chassis and adjusted a lot, but you know, we kind of like everybody else. We didn't know where we were set up for because of the way practice was, but we just had it where they could adjust it.
You ready for next week at Bristol?
Ready to go to Bristol.
Aren't we all, guys?
All right, congratulations to Ken Schrader, our 4th place finisher. Now, here are the unofficial results of this event. A couple of guys had their best finishes of 1993. Ken Schrader did, and also Terry Labonte, who you will see here coming up in 9th position, also had his best finish of 1993.
Morgan Shepherd in 10th spot. The winner last week, Davey Allison, back in 11th. Bill Elliott back in 14th, the winner of this race last year.
Rick Mast finally finished 15th there today, kept his car running all day. DW in 16th place there we see. And Ricky Rudd, with all of his problems, he ran up in the top 10 until he started having those problems, wound up 19th.
That 19th place finish does not indicate how well he ran at times. Jeff Gordon had a good run going, hit the wall, finished 24th.
And Jeff Gordon really needed to run all day and see what the weather conditions changing did to the racetrack so he would know what to do for his car in the future.
See, Hutch Strickland wound up 28th. He had a good run going also. Ran up in the top 10 until he started having problems, finally fell out of the race.
Rookie contender Kenny Wallace 32nd, Michael Waltrip 33rd. And there's 36 through 39 as Harry Gant finishes in 37th position. Now let's take a look at the point standings. Earnhardt is on top. Rusty Wallace moved up a spot. Jeff Bodine down a spot. Dale Jarrett stays the same, and Mark Martin moved up to 5th position. 6 through 10 in the point standing. Shepard gained 2 spots. Allison gained 2. Jeff Gordon lost 3. Alan Kowicki gained 5. And Ernie Irvin lost 3 positions in the point standings. And there is 11 through 15th. Kyle, Ken, Ricky Rudd, Hut Strickland, and Jimmy Spencer. Those are the first 15 in the point standings as we complete the 5th race of the year and look ahead now to Bristol next weekend.